Loving you the hardest thing to do, so I keep to myself. I feel like I'm falling in and out of consciousness. Yeah. Now we starting to talk, let's killing all the progress. Really hard to process, you treat me like an object. Baby, we toxic, can we stay on topic? I feel like we lost it, feel like we lost it. Take my love, don't waste it. Even though I don't mind waiting. Late test, my mind racing. What else I have to do, girl, embrace me. I only want you. You to pull me closer. Pull me closer. Pull me closer. Love's in the air, but I'm not breathing. Broken heart need repairing, you're the reason. On a hospital bed, the pain not leaving. You been arrows to the chest, I can't stop bleeding. If you gon' leave, gon' leave just like everybody else. If you don't like my company, then I'll do life by myself. Girl, your love like a drug, it ain't good for my health. Even though it's killing me, girl, I love you to death. Take my love, don't waste it. Even though I don't mind waiting. Late test, my mind racing. What else I have to do, girl, embrace me. You. I only want you, yeah. I only want you. I only want you. Pull me closer. Pull me closer. dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Me gusta salir y seducir. Dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Me gusta salir y seducir. Dale chiquitita, dame más. Qué bonita tú te quieres controlar. Ella dice que me quiere controlar. Nosotros los vamos a develar más. Dime cómo tú te quieres venir más. Dime cómo nos vamos a conocer más. Dime, no te quiero solo ver, quiero compartirte. Quiero que te vean y te sigan. Soy un bandolero, gusto o era una coqueta. Dime cómo suena la pobreza. Sé que tú supiste que tú fuiste la coqueta. Tú siempre fuiste la coqueta. Dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Me gusta salir y seducir. Más dime, más dime, dime. Soy un bandolero, gusto o era una coqueta. Soy un bandolero, gusto o era una coqueta. Dime cómo suena la pobreza. Tú siempre fuiste la coqueta. Dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Le gusta salir y seducir.
How do I deal with what I'm feeling? Maybe I just don't. What you're doing
and I just posted my story, and I turned my phone off, came back an hour later, and it was so many people just giving me motivation. There were so many people sending me links. Call this person. They came through for me day one. And that's when I knew that this was definitely the right path. I've been listening. I've been going through everything that you've been saying these last 4 days. And I've already was motivated, but the steps and everything that you told, it was like, okay, this is exactly what I needed to hear. This is okay. So now it's like everything was just connecting and just bringing everything together for me.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Give her a hand, first of all.
Thank you.
So I understand that you were operating your hair salon in your home, and if I understand, the person who owned your home sold his home because real estate prices went up high. And then I didn't even know this because I haven't moved in a long time, but obviously I understand you got to put an application to apply places, like $150, and you ran through your money and then found yourself under the bridge there with your 11-year-old. I mean, and then the Fort Myers, the giant storm came. All these at once? Is that what happened?
So once the storm came and hit, it just threw everything off balance. So the organizations that I signed up for, they like put me at the bottom of the totem pole. So then I had to start everything all over again. And we just happened to go to Miami because I had a hair appointment there, and she canceled on me and we got stuck. So we were just literally just enjoying life on the bridge. And I would like to say, I have to give a special shout out to my son because he made the process less stressful. He didn't complain. He didn't argue. He didn't cry. We were just like hanging out on the side of the bridge looking for dolphins and talking to manatees and manifesting and just enjoy. It didn't felt like we were homeless. It just felt like we were just camping out. So he made the process so much easier for me.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
I understand. What's your son's name?
His name is Josiah.
And he's 11?
Yes, he's 11, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, give him a hand. Yeah. That's beautiful. But Josiah,
he went downstairs. He went downstairs to play, so he would have been here jumping around. But he's downstairs playing in the hotel.
Well, I'm glad he's getting a little break here. And then tell me, what happened in this? What did this community do? I understand people called and they support you in lots of ways, but I heard some people came by and brought you food. Some people put you up in a hotel. Tell us what's happened because you're not in your.
Okay, so from day one, I had different people in the comments. They were like, okay, I know there's people here. I know we have some connection. Anybody in South Florida? And one of the members, she got me in touch with one of the people from the school board. They, some people sent me some cash app. They gave me the gas money to get back to Fort Myers.
Wow.
And then I got in contact with the one of the ladies here, and she gave me a hotel for 3 days. And then right after that, as we were getting ready to exit, your team reached out to me and they got me another room for another 3 days. Yeah. I was able to do some applications. I have 3 interviews lined up. So
awesome.
Now we're just going through the motions of trying to find another house to move in. So things are slowly going back together for me.
Well, we're going to do 2 more things for you.
All because of the community you created.
Well, we all created it together, but I'm just so proud of everybody reaching out and supporting. I mean, everybody's got busy lives, and the fact that they went out of their way, brought you food, brought you opportunity, brought you home.
Yes.
And the 3 days with us was just because I wanted to surprise you and let you know we're going to send you today $10,000 so you can have 3 months, get yourself in a nice place, get yourself some food. Is our gift to you, and we're going to invite you to unleash the power within so you build the skills for the rest of your life. So we're going to send that to you today. So go find yourself a great place. You got the money to do it, and then come to unleash the power within with me, and we're going to take it to the next level. Tell your son we love him. Both of them. I know you have an older son too. And my only request is that you get yourself on your feet and then you find one other person to help. You take what you've learned and you help somebody else.
I can definitely do that.
Is it a deal?
I can definitely do that. That is a deal times 3.
All right. God bless you, Kathy. Take care of yourself. We'll stay in touch. Give it a hand for Kathy, everybody. Beautiful job. Beautiful. So she's got a new beginning, and because she reached out and because of all of you were so incredibly warm. So let's do this. One of the things I want to tell you, one of the things that I've developed as a discipline in my life that I want to encourage you to consider is that whenever I learn anything, I know that everything we've ever seen, heard, tasted, touched, or smelled gets stored in our brain. But if you don't retrieve it very quickly, it's only in short-term memory and you usually forget. So I developed the discipline when I was, 17, 18 years old, that when I learned something, like going to an event of some sort, I would sit down afterwards, like even at lunch, and I would rewrite everything I could remember that I got out of that day, and then I do it again at dinner time. People went to lunch and dinner, I didn't do it. I just sat there and wrote. And I made myself just pull it out of my head because the information is there, but you need to retrieve it right away, so you wire yourself to have access. So one thing I'd encourage you to do after these 5 days, perhaps tomorrow's Sunday, is do something for yourself where you sit down, you can scan your notes, and then just write down each day everything you can remember that was valuable that you'd want to apply. And then step 2 is I'd always write down action items, and I would do something right then while I was in state. And I'll reinforce this at the end because it's so important. But how many have done this? How many have gotten excited about something and then you got caught up in other stuff and didn't follow through? Who's done this, right? So what you want to do is while you're still in a peak state, in that moment, you want to do something that commits you to continue to follow through. You want to book a meeting. You want to enroll in a class. You want to set the interview. You want to call somebody right then. You want to text them and set the meeting so that you really do follow through. Because when you get out of state, that's when people get disappointed in themselves. Why didn't I follow through? Because you have to understand state is such a huge part of it. So how many are willing to do this for yourself? Maybe tomorrow, a little review here for the 5 days, right? So just for a 2-second review, and then today what I want to do is walk you through what I think are the 5 core actions that create an extraordinary life. Doesn't matter if your life is already great, you want to go to the next level, or your life's a bit challenging in some area. These are the 5 elements that I look to constantly to go to the next level of my own life or to help anybody, whether in a challenging time or a great time, doesn't matter. We all want to move up because that's the only thing that makes you feel alive. It's progress, growing, expanding, and then you have some more to give to other people, and that makes life more meaningful. So we'll do that, and then I have a little gift for you, a special gift, and then I have a secondary gift at the end that's really fun for us, and then this will be our final day together. So it's been really enjoyable. So let's take a look. Day 1, just a couple of reminders. What did we do on day 1? We started with the power of energy. How many feel more energy today after 4 or 5 days? Just a couple hours a day feeling this stuff, right? And we learned that energy doesn't come from food or sleep. Those are sources of energy. It really is a habit, and we got to develop that habit. We've learned, and you've been using your body, your mind, your emotions as ways to make that shift, right? Using your body first, physiology first. And you learned that those 3 patterns we've got to get good at. And we've been looking at throughout this week. Patterns in relationship, patterns in emotion, patterns in finance, patterns in your career. But we have to identify patterns, but then use them. And then after a while, start to create them. And then we learned about breakthroughs and the key form of strategy, story, state. Most people are looking for the strategy first, and we reverse that. We want to get in state, enhance our story or beliefs, and then we can get the strategy and we'll actually execute. Otherwise, we'll say we tried and make up a story why it didn't work. And then we tapped into the archetypes. How many of you enjoyed doing the warriors, magicians, lovers, kings? You want to do that again? And we said we want to avoid the tyranny of how, and then the assignment was, you got an old story, what is it? What's your new story? And that was the beginning of breakthroughs for many of you because I got to watch the videos and see the changes where people started saying, my old story was, my new story is, and you can actually see in the body the change. And we also got to meet Christina that day. Remember that? Who lost her 3-year-old daughter to cancer, but truly took grief and turned into gratitude. And you could see it was real. And you just see the power of changing story. Without it, she would obviously be devastated, like most people would be. And then Jason, who, felt like a victim and left his 18-month-old son and then went to the UBW, somehow got pushed over the edge and came back, reunited with his family, and now he has 6 companies. Unbelievable. Give it up for both of them. Amazing people we met on day 1, right? On day 2 was all about the power of a portion of your story, the most important portion, identity. And we learned that the strongest force in the human personality, in our personality, is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. So boy, when did we define ourselves? Most of us years ago. We've not updated it. You wouldn't use a phone from 10 years ago, right? You wouldn't use a computer from 5 years ago. What the heck are we doing using an old identity? And we saw how identity controls us. It's not what we want, it's what we believe we're comfortable with. Remember the 68-degree metaphor. If you drop too low, 58, you get drive to fix it. If you go too high, more than you expected, often the air conditioners come on, you sabotage to get where you need to be. So the secret is to expand our identities. And we learned the 5 to thrive. That if we want to change how we feel, boom, it's physiology first. Change your physiology radically, you'll change your emotional state. Change your focus, you'll change your state. And changing your language. But what will make you do that is if you create a compelling future. We can all deal with the difficult today if we can have a really compelling tomorrow. Anyone can do that. But the secret is really building an identity that reminds you that you're more. We're all more than anything that could ever happen to us, anything that could ever be done to us. How many know that in your soul? There's a part of you that knows that's true, right? And then we talked about the 5 keys to build your brand, whether you work for someone or you're building a company and what to do. And gave you the example of Mike Glickman, which, by the way, a bunch of you reached out to him because he reached out to me and sent me a text saying, you can't believe what happens when you mention my name. He said, but this time, he said, my phone is blowing up. My text is blowing up. So a bunch of you looked him up, which was really sweet. So then day 3. Day 3 was about creating your own economy. Like, how do we do well if there's inflation? If inflation's 7 or 8%, well, all you have to do is be 7 or 8% more productive, and you're even. If you're 10 or 15, you're ahead. But we learned we can earn twice as much in the same amount of time, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, if we become more valuable, if we invest in the most important thing on earth, ourselves. And I'm here today, by the way. I've made these investments over and over again. I didn't do it one time, and I did it when I had no money. I did it when all my brain would say, I can't do this. I took my rent money to go to see Jim Rohn, to give you perspective. I'm talking about the second seminar I did with him, which was $1,200. That'd be $10,000 in US dollars today based on inflation. And I'm sleeping in my car at 17, and I'm making, $40 a week working as a janitor, and I'm going to go do this. I went and borrowed the money. I figured out what it was, but I was so vested. So I've made these decisions. And today, by the way, I hope you don't let this be the end. I hope today you decide to come join us for UBW, invest in yourself. But you got to if you're going to have a new economy. And if you do and become those skills to master yourself and to raise your game, there really is no limit. And then you got to meet some of the people that have actually done that. Sarah Blakely, who's just amazing. Give it up for Sarah and what she did there. Pretty amazing, right? And you got to see the patterns that she had, that she didn't have any money. She had failed at most of the things, but her father taught her failure's learning. And so she didn't stop. There's nothing like persistence. There's nothing like the person who will not give up. It's not like the person who won't accept limitations. That has been the most important secret of my life and anybody I've ever met. And all that is developing a new habit of saying, I won't accept limitations. I won't accept I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I don't know the right people. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I'm not going to accept that. There is a way, and I'm going to find it. And you keep trying things, and it doesn't work. You don't give up. You try something else. And Sarah did that, became the youngest self-made female billionaire in the history of the United States. Big hand for Sarah, ladies and gentlemen. Extraordinary lady, right? And then, of course, we learned those. I gave you the fastest business, growth project I've ever showed, or lesson, which is those 3 keys to growing. You got to know who your ideal customer is. If you work for someone else, you got to know your ideal customer. What do they want? What do they hate? What excites them? Remember I said life is the dance between what we desire most and what we fear most. That people play between those 2 tiers. If you want your life to be bigger, you got to desire more or fear less, and that'll expand your life. And we said, you got to come up with an irresistible offer. He gave you the example of Zappos. And then you got to over-deliver, right? And then you got to meet another absolutely brilliant human being in Jamie Kern-Lima. Give it up for Jamie, ladies and gentlemen. Working in Denny's, taking her tip money so she could invest in a $200 audio program with me back in those days, and listening to it every day and created her vision and her plan. And then everybody told her, you're not skinny enough. You're not the kind of person to buy makeup from. I mean, the most horrific things they said to her. My favorite part was when the guy called her at the end after she took her company and sold it for $1.2 billion. And he said, congratulations. And she's thinking to herself, the pretty woman moment, right? Big mistake, right? But she didn't say it. She was classy in what she did, right? We also, by the way, met Rico that day. You got to see a man from a year ago in his truck driving out of prison. He got his kids back. He's now coaching other people, making motivational videos with his daughter. Give it up for Rico, everybody. A beautiful, beautiful example. And of course, day 4 yesterday, we had relationship focus, right? And boy, I went a little crazy. I think we went 3 hours yesterday, 3.5. But to me, if you do have well in all the other parts of your life, but you're not happy in your relationship, you're not happy, right? And if you don't have a relationship, you deserve the joy of being able to do that. So we talked about how do you create a relationship? How do you get clear what you want? And most importantly, who you got to become to attract that kind of person. And then the idea that the state of the union is the state we bring to it. The idea we got to be responsible for it. And then selecting the right person, not only to be in a relationship, but the part of us that we're going to bring the relationship. We're going to bring the playful one or the one that's pissed off. Big difference. Are we going to bring the compassionate one or the angry one? That makes all the difference in a relationship. And then we showed you the 4 horsemen that make Dr. Gottman ability to be able 91% accuracy to say whether someone will get divorced within 5 years or not within 15 minutes of watching them. We looked about criticism and contempt and defensiveness and stonewalling and showing you the alternatives. And then you learn to sew. Remember that? Julie Caldwell's little approach, right? Really amazing. That instead of arguing, you don't have to argue ever again as long as what you communicate is not arguable. And what's not arguable is the sensations in your body, which makes you get out of your story and come to this moment, makes it real. The emotions, of which there's only 5, right? Sad, mad, scared, glad, excited. And that limits it from all the things we make up and call emotions. These are the core. And then most importantly, what do you want? Most people just get angry in an argument. They don't get to what they want. And then you watched a couple really do this who were on the verge of parting, and they turned it around in such an easy and playful way. But notice we first got them to go in a really great state, and you don't want to forget that. And then we brought Sage on. You got to meet my wife, and we got to visit a little bit there and share just principles back and forth. And you discovered the 3 C's, the 3 U's, and I got to see last night those pieces that you've done. So that kind of catches you up real fast on the big ones, but I really think tomorrow will be good to go through the details of it, just kind of remind you of where we've been. So what are we going to do today? Let's now go into what I consider the 4 core actions if you want to create an extraordinary life. But before we do it, shake it out in your body right now. Get some energy in your body. Come on, wake it up. Nice and strong, nice and strong. That's it, nice and strong. Nice and strong. Nice and strong. My watch is not working. There's no watch. There's no time. It's not showing the time. Wake it up! Ladies and gentlemen, so here are the 5 key core actions. If you take these actions, you're going to create an extraordinary life. Let's start with the first one. Put it up on the screen for everybody. The first step here is you got to get clear on what you really want, and I mean really want, and where you really are. How many of you right now have a gap between where you want to be and where you are? How many got a gap right now in some of those areas, right? If you can really be clear about what that gap is and not just generalize, if you can be clear, this is exactly what I want, this is really where I am, then you can get wherever you want to go. But most people, first of all, they lie to themselves about where they are. I'm big bones is what I used to say when I was 38 pounds heavier, right? No, I was freaking fat, right? I had to tell myself the truth of where I was. A map is worthless if you don't know where you are, right? It's worthless. It's also worthless if you don't know where you want to go. And so one of the things we really want to do here is get really clear. What is it you want with your body? Do you want more energy? You want more strength? You want more vitality? Do you want to slim up? What is it you want? Precisely. Do you want to lose 12 pounds? Not, I want to lose some weight. If you're general in your description, you never tap into the RAS, remember the reticular activating system that can figure out how to get you there. That's a part of everyone's brains. How many of you have ever had something that you wanted so bad, you couldn't stop thinking about it, and somehow you don't even have a plan, stuff came together and you found it, a way to make it happen? Who's had this happen in their life here, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely. So here's what I want you to think about. If you're gonna really have what you want, maybe the thing to do so you have more certainty that you can achieve what you want is to answer this question for me. How many of you have something in your life today that once was a dream or goal that seemed impossible when you first thought about it, but today that goal or dream is in your life? It could have been a job, it could have been an income, it could have been a relationship. Who can relate to this? Make some noise if you can relate to this. Well, then tell me something just for a second here. Tell me, in fact, don't tell me, write it down. Write down one or two things that are in your life today, real fast, that were once a dream or goal that seemed impossible, and now it's in your life today. So you made it happen. So what was it? And then second, write down how you made that happen. I'm gonna literally give you a minute and a half to do this real fast. Jot it down. What's something that once seemed like an impossible dream or goal, but now it's in your life? So how'd you make it happen? Really go back and think, what was the first thing I did? What was the second thing I did that actually made this happen? Here we go. Normal time. What was the first thing you did to make that dream a reality, even though it seemed impossible? Yeah, put it in the chat box if you want. I'd love to see. Some of you are already doing that. That's great. What's the next thing you did? I'm financially secure and well off. What'd you do? I found the love of my dreams. How'd you do it? I want to lose weight, 50 pounds, and I really did it. What was the first thing you did? What made it possible? We're going to model what works. Seconds. And I told my son we were going to live in this new place, this new neighborhood. It seemed impossible. We found a way. How'd you do it? All right, come on back. How many of you are able to think of something that you really thought was impossible and it's in your life today? Make some noise if you got it out there, ladies and gentlemen. And how did you do it? I would argue you went through 3 steps. See if we're aligned on this, just for time's sake. The first thing, how many of you did is you just started focusing on it all the time. You kept thinking about it all the damn time. Raise your hand if you focused on it a lot. I'm kind of obsessed. Come on, let me hear you if you was focused there, right? And the reason is where focus goes, energy flows, right? The more you focus on something, more your unconscious mind starts to focus on it. So when you kind of obsess and think and focus and imagine it. Now, most people, though, they are focused on getting it, experiencing it, not getting it. If I asked you a time when you didn't achieve your goal, usually your focus is all the obstacles. It's like if you talk to a mom right after she has a baby, very often she went through hell to have the birth, and God, the universe, makes it so she forgets all that pain and she goes, I want another one, right? How many women know what I'm talking about there? Make some noise out there if you know what I'm talking about, right? So it's like our brains, if we can get clear what we want, we can get there. But if we're clear what we don't want, if we focus on the obstacles, you won't have that second kid. You won't have the first kid. So you first got obsessed. Then the second thing, how many of you, after you were really focused, you were also clear about what you want? How many of you would say you had clarity? You were very focused. You knew what you want, and you knew why you want it. You had strong enough reasons to do it, because reasons give you the energy, don't they? And then the second thing most of you did is you took massive what? Action. Because massive action's the cure-all. And you may have tried something that didn't work. You tried something else, tried something else. Now, some of you, again, how many of you didn't even have a plan? Just by focusing on it, things came together. How many have had that happen before? Again, like the example I gave you before, because once you decide that something's really important, keep focusing on it, the reticular activating system notices anything that can get you there. You're at the Starbucks, remember the example I gave you? And there's people 4 tables over, and you decide you want to invest in real estate, you have no money, and you're learning, and they're talking about investing in real estate with no money, and you hear it before you wouldn't even have heard it. And so you took massive action, kept changing your approach, and maybe you found someone who's already successful at something and studied them on what action to take, which would save you a lot of time and a lot of failure and a lot of up and down, right? You don't have to do that. You can learn from somebody else. And then the third step that's required if your goal has different size is some grace. Some people call that luck. Some people call that God. But I'm not here to lecture you religiously, but how many of you found that the more you appreciate what is in your life, the grace of your life, not the things you've done, the things that you have been born into, the more grace you find? How many find that to be true in your own life, right? So I want you to just be really clear here that this is where you want to grow. You want to get certain that I can take impossible things and make them real. Now from that place, I want you to write this down. What do you want to achieve now with your body or your emotions? What's most important to you now? If I ask you, what's the area of life that needs to go to the next level? Is it your body, the energy, strength, or the way you want to feel and look? Is it your emotions, where you want to be free and feel alive and strong and not frustrated, overwhelmed, or depressed? Is it your relationship that you want to create one, or you want to take the one and transform it and bring back the love and the passion at the highest level? Is it your career or your business? Is it turning around the economics of your life? Is it multiple ones? But what would be, if you're going to focus on one or two, what would be the most important thing for you to improve right away in your life that would give you the greatest rewards if you could turn it around the fastest? What do you want to go to the next level in right away? Jot it down. What is it specifically? Jot it down. What do you want most now? And then I want you to write down the second thing, which is, what are 2 actions you could take immediately to make that area begin to happen? Remember, you don't want to think of a goal without something you can do immediately. What could you do immediately to improve that body? What could you do immediately? Is there a class you could enroll in? Is there a trainer that you could hire? Is there a book you're going to read starting tomorrow so you go purchase it right now and have it delivered tomorrow on Amazon? Is there a class you can do? If it's something around a relationship, what are you going to do? Is there something you need to end? Is there something you need to begin? Is there something you say, I'm sorry for? You need to walk through it. Is there something you need to do in your career or your business? What are 2 actions that would get you going right away that you know would put you on the path towards improving that area significantly? And one of those actions should be something you could do today, like something you could do right away after this class. Again, a meeting you schedule, a phone call, an email, a text, a class you enroll in, a person you meet with, whatever it's going to take. How about 2 actions that you know will move you forward right away? That you know are doable, but they'll create momentum, right? Once you do 2, you'll want to do 3, you'll want to do 4, you'll keep going. You got about 30 seconds. What's the second action? All right, how many got clear what you want to improve specifically? And you got at least 2 actions? Make some noise if you got it. And stand up just for a moment if you would. Stand up wherever you are in the world. Stand up, shake your body out. Let's get our body engaged. Make a move that makes you feel strong and say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Notice in your body when you say yes what it feels like. Shout the word yes and really enjoy it. Go, say yes. Do it again. Notice what that feels like. Now say the word no and notice it comes from a different location, has a different feeling. Say no. Say no. No's like burping. No, no. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Make the sound of unstoppable intensity. What sound you make if you felt unstoppable intensity? Come on, crank it up nice and strong. Make a sound that makes you feel unstoppable inside. That's it, that's it. Now, from that state, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you took the actions, one today, the next action, the next, and you really achieved this goal. It's a year from now, and your life has changed in this area, completely changed, and you made it happen. I want you to make the sound of celebration, how you're going to feel a year from now when you're living this experience. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Make the sound and go for it. Celebrate it. That's it. Strong. That's it. That's it. That's it. Give it one more burst of energy. Go. Give it one more celebration. Yes! High fives or fist bumps say you rock, baby, so do I. You have a seat feeling strong. So, clarity is power. Write it down. Clarity is power. And reasons come first, answers come second. So if you can get crystal clear what you want and why you want it, you're going to have enough drive to move you forward. So then we got to go to the second thing. We got to deal with what's going to then stop you. Because who's ever gotten fired up? I'm going to go lose 30 pounds. I'm going to go on a fast for the next 10 days. And about noon, you're going, juice is good for you. And 2 o'clock, you're going, a burger and fries is not so bad. Right? So what gets in our way is limiting belief systems. I've never done this before. I don't know how. I don't know where to begin. I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the expertise, I don't know the right people. So the second step, the second action, the core action that will create an extraordinary life, you must crush, you must destroy, you must annihilate, you must replace your story of limitation with a story of success, the story of what you're committed to. You've got to destroy, you got to crush, you got to annihilate. It's not enough to intellectually know. Because, again, I asked you this the other day, but I'm curious. How many of you are aware of beliefs inside you that intellectually make no sense, but emotionally they get you or they pull you back at times? How many can relate to this in some way? Say I. Say I. So I want you to write something down. The only thing keeping me from getting what I want, the only thing keeping me from getting what I want is the story I keep telling myself about why I don't have it, or why I don't have it yet, or why I'll never have it. The only thing keeping me from getting what I really want is the story I keep telling myself about why I can't do it. Those stories, they're nothing but stories. Now, a story is a belief, a set of beliefs, right? And a belief is a feeling of absolute certainty about something. So when you're certain you don't have the money, you don't have the time, you don't have the expertise, you're not good enough, you look for brown and you find it everywhere, even when it's green or blue or red or beige. How many follow this discipline in our minds here? Say I. So write it down again, what we said the other day. Beliefs create and beliefs destroy. Great beliefs will create a new life for you. Limiting beliefs will destroy your life. And they're self-fulfilling. And what do we call these beliefs also? The story. So we said it the other day, right? You change your story, change your life. But a lot of us have these little pieces of the story that kind of filter back in. Since I grew up with nothing, not even food, a lot of times, my whole story was there's not enough. There's not enough money. I can't do this. I can't pay the bills. And as long as I kept that story, it was true. And it was true. I didn't have the money because it was self-fulfilling. But when I started to say, no, I remember when they offered me to go to the seminar, it's like, I can't go to that seminar. I can't afford that, right, with Jim Rohn. And he said, okay, just do it on your own. Then keep doing what you're doing here. And maybe it'll take you 20 or 30 years. Or you could learn in one weekend the answers that could change your whole life. But I don't have the money for it. Okay, then don't go. But is there anything, if you don't learn these things, it's going to take you decades, maybe never. Why would you waste your life? The one thing that's the most valuable thing we have in life is what? Time. It's the only thing you can't replace. So I finally made this shift in my head, and I just took the money from the rent and said, I can barely pay my rent as it is. I'm always going to be this way unless I make this psychological shift, unless I not just understand this stuff. That's the mistake people make. Oh, I understand it. Understanding and $3 will almost buy you a Starbucks, right? Understanding doesn't change your life. It's wiring. It's conditioning yourself so that when something happens, you automatically do the right thing. That's why I do seminars. That's why I do these crazy hours. It's not easy for me to do 12 hours a day any more than it would be for you. It's a little harder on me. I got to deliver even more. So why the hell do I do that for 4 days in a row, day and night? Because there is nothing like total immersion to rewire you. It's one thing to understand it. Oh my God, a total nother to have it be in your body where you do it. You know, first time you try to drive a stick shift car or tie your shoes, it's complex. You got to focus. But once you get it in your body, you tie your shoes and you're talking and doing other things. You're driving the car and doing other things. That's what you want to do with the principles that make your life change. But you've absolutely got to do it in this area of beliefs, because the limiting beliefs, that is what crushes your life. So you must crush them, not let them crush you. Who's with me on this? Say I. Say I. Don't just be aware of them. Don't just be conscious of them. You have to literally get it out of your nervous system. That's the part that I finally learned how to do. And without that, you'll feel some progress, but it won't last. That's why immersion, that's why you put yourself in something day and night, night and day, so you get rewired. So you don't even think about it. It just happens. It just happens. Most of us, what just happens doesn't support us because it's limiting beliefs. It's challenging beliefs. And by the way, there's one particular type of belief that some people get into that's the most destructive, and I'll call your attention to it. And that's this idea of what I call learned helplessness. Jot it down, learned helplessness. We've all been there at times. Learned helplessness is you're not just in pain. You don't just think it's a problem. You think, I'll never solve this. I'll never have a relationship. I've had all these relationships. They've never been, it's just not going to happen for me. That's learned helplessness. There's 7 billion, 7.5 billion other people on the planet. I'm sure there's somebody else, but when you're in learned helplessness, it's all impossible. Learned helplessness is, no, that's just for other people. I can't do that. I don't have the education. I don't have the background. I don't know the people. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. It's always the same stories. The same stories of limitation. What are they? Time and money are the two biggies, aren't they? Third one would probably be expertise or experience. Fourth one, I don't know how. But they're universal for anyone who doesn't have what they want. And it's hard to break them because they're so strong in you. And if they get really strong, if they get to learned helplessness, then people's lives just deteriorate. They try to stay at a certain level in their relationship. I was talking to one of the ladies in the VIP yesterday, and she was talking about she's been unhappy in a relationship for 10 years. But she stayed around and trying to figure out what to do. But she had all these stories about her husband that, as we dug in, they weren't really true. And she had stories about herself that weren't really true. It was the beliefs that were the glue that was holding her in place. And they were really 3 types of beliefs when you have learned helplessness. Jot them down. There are 3 P's. Learned helplessness means, number 1, you think the problem is pervasive. Pervasive means you think because your finances are screwed up, your whole life is screwed up. What I loved about Kathy earlier and her son was she's homeless, she's in her car under a bridge, but she still find a way, her and her son, to have joy, to look out at the ocean, to see, the fish to feel connected, still play together, still be in love with each other. As bad as the situation is, it's not pervasive. It doesn't affect your whole life unless you believe it. But once you believe, because I don't have a great relationship, or I never have, I never will, and therefore my whole life is screwed, or because, I haven't figured out my career, or because my family is in conflict, I can never be where I want. Once you believe a problem is pervasive, it starts destroying your life. How many follow this? Say I. But the second P is even more intense. When people start thinking the problem is permanent, that's when you really get into learned helplessness. What does permanent mean? Permanent means you think no matter what I do, nothing will work. I'll give you an example of how they demonstrate this with animals. I don't support this research, but I'll just tell you they do this. Around the country, they've done this study over and over again. They'll take a dog or a monkey. They've done it with monkeys as well. And it's a standard protocol. They take them to this little room, and there's a net in the middle of the room that's about the size of a tennis court net, roughly. And on the front side of the room where they open the door and they let the dog or the monkey in, there are 2 colored squares, and on the other side of that, there are 2 colored squares. So there's a red one, a yellow one, a green one, and a blue one. And so what do? They open the room, and the dog or monkey goes in, they start moving around, everything's fine, and then they electrify on this side. They start with, let's say, the red square, and they electrify it. Meaning they get electrocuted if they're on that square, and the dog freaks out, the monkey freaks out. So what they do, they try to change, try to do anything, and then somehow by accident they end up on the next square, and there's no electricity there, and the pain goes away. So they notice the red was pain, they avoid the red. Perfect, I avoid relationship because it was so painful. Oh, I avoid money because it's bad, because it's there. Oh, I avoid whatever, taking care of my body because it doesn't last. You get it? But it's what they do with the monkeys. The monkey links up red equals pain, so avoids the red. When it goes to the room next time, it runs straight for the yellow square, right? And then what do? These wonderful scientists, they electrify the red and the yellow square. Now the animal's freaking out. He can't go to the red, he can't go to the yellow, and all of a sudden, in the last-ditch effort to get out of pain, it jumps over the net. And when it jumps over the net, the pain stops, right? And sure enough, there is a green square they land on. There's no pain in the green square. So the next time they go, they open the room. What does the dog do? Or the monkey? They jump over immediately. Don't stay anywhere. They jump over the fence, go straight immediately to the net, to the green side. Then what do these beautiful scientists do? They electrify the green square. Animals freaking out. Finally, there's one little part of the room they've not been to yet where there's a blue square, and they get off, and there's no pain. Oh, my God. Now they associate pain to the red square, pain to the yellow, pain to the green, but not to the blue. Open the room, it jumps over the net straight to the blue like that. Avoids all 3 squares immediately, and then you guessed it, they electrify all 4 squares. What happens when you electrify all 4 squares? The animal gets pain no matter what they do. Who's ever been in a place where you felt like you're screwed if you do and you're screwed if you don't do? How many have ever been in this horrible place? Make some noise if you know what I'm talking about. That's when we tend to go to learned helplessness. And by the way, what these animals do, both dogs and monkeys do the same thing. They fight it, and then they eventually just give up. They usually sit in a corner and bite themselves and defecate all over themselves. Now here's the good news. You and I are not monkeys. So we have a consciousness that can teach us it's not the squares that's the problem. It's not the relationship. It's not my business. It's not me, and it's not permanent. No problem is permanent, my friends. Only your soul is permanent. Right? Think about it. No bad economy is permanent. It's never happened in human history. No pandemic is permanent. I was trying to tell people when they're freaking out, this is the rest of my life forever. No, it's not. It's a painful winter, but it's not going to be forever. And it wasn't, and it isn't. Nothing is forever in that area. No problem is. But once you believe the problem is permanent, once you believe it, it is permanent because you don't even try. Do you remember the old metaphor of, in the early days, they take, the circus when they have a brand new elephant, little baby elephant, they tie a rope around his leg and they drive a stake deep in the ground and he fights usually for days until eventually he goes, I can't get out. It's a permanent problem, and they don't even try. Now the elephant's an adult elephant. One pull, it can bring down the entire, ring top. But they don't even try because they're conditioned. Conditioning is what we have to change. You can't just change your belief. You've got to change your wiring. Change your wiring, the whole game's going to change for you. So that's what our focus is here. And then the third P is when you start thinking the problem is personal. right? It's personal. It's me. I can't have a relationship. I'm just not a good person. I'm not beautiful. I'm not intelligent. I'm not sexy. I can't turn my finances around. I've tried everything, and it's affecting my whole life. It's a permanent problem, and it's personal. When that happens, people just basically give up. And once you give up, again, it's self-fulfilling. So you've got to break out. Now, this is why you heard earlier she was talking about, I walked in with KK in the beginning, was talking about at UPW, we do this Dickens process I mentioned to you. It's a process of rewiring. That's what shifts somebody. If you don't rewire, nothing's going to shift in your life. And, by the way, that process is so powerful that when Stanford did the study that they did, remember I told you yesterday, they followed up with people and they had a 70% decrease in negative emotions. 70% decrease in negative emotions, 50% increase in positive emotions. And the reason was because we got rid of the limitations in their nervous system. Pretty wild. And the study, and by the way, it's in the Journal of Psychiatry now. It's pretty amazing. Throw it up on the screen for people to give you an idea. But also, that's the 70-50, but also they found something else. Like they found all these other emotions increased as well. The anxiety emotions went through the ground. The positive emotions went up. They did them across the board. And show them the third one if you would here. This is really cool. People who did this, they go into a different biochemistry. This is what Stanford did. They followed me. They had a group of people they put this $60,000 device on my chest while I was doing the whole seminar. And it measures everything, heart rate, variability, everything. During every break, they came and swabbed my mouth. They checked my DNA. They took my saliva. They checked my hormones. For 3 years, they did this. And they learned some wild things that go on in my body. And one of the things they discovered is I go into a state when I'm doing this event 12 hours a day and they call it the championship state. They've studied guys like Tom Brady and in the Tampa Bay Lightning, which won multiple times in the Stanley Cup and so forth. The people that get in a stressful situation, Tom Brady's down by 10 points and there's 2 minutes left and he wins the game, right? He's done it so many times. He has more Super Bowl rings, 7, than all sports teams in the NFL. It's unbelievable, one guy. And they said, here's why. There's a biochemical change these people go in where they call it the championship biochemistry, where your stress hormone cortisol drops. So the stress drops and your testosterone surges. So you feel this drive to follow through. They found this in me over and over again, but here's what's really cool. They then followed up and measured all the people in the seminar I did digitally, meaning just like this, but not this, the actual seminar, the 4-day seminar in the main studio. People around the world did the same thing, their biochemistry, and they all matched me. Meaning you go into the same state with me. It's called mirror neurons. And people literally went that place. So throw up on the screen, this is what they found, a 300% increase in cognitive performance after the UPW. 300%, they've never seen like it in their lives. 159% increase in the learning hormones for attention. 139% increase in the performance biochemistry, the thing I'm talking to you about. So that's why a year later, people's lives have changed, because we've rewired ourselves. It's not enough, please write down, it's not enough to understand. It's not enough to know. I've got to change my conditioning. So I hope you'll join me for that, or you got to do it to yourself. But it's not enough to have the understanding. Now, but as a quickie, just to get you started, in case I don't see you as well, let's do something really fast. Here's what I want you to do. I want you, stand up just for a second if you would. Stand up if you would. Shake your body out again. Shake it out. Make your move. Make your move. Make your move. Say yes. Say yes. Make that sound of unstoppable intensity once again. Go. Go. Intensity, double it! Oh, yes. Now, while you stay standing, make your move. Make your move. Make your move. Stay standing so you got your whole body, and I want you to think right now, when you've gone to make a change in the past, to make your body better, to change your relationship, to make more money, to grow your career, Do something with your kids that you're not being able to do before. When you've had something you wanted to achieve and you've not followed through, what has been the limiting belief that's gotten in the way? What would you say it's been? What's been the limiting belief? I'm not enough. I don't have the experience. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the education. I'm too old. I'm too young. Jot it down if you can. If you're still standing, you can type it if your typing's in front of you, or you can write on a piece of paper, but try to stay standing if you can. So use your whole body. What's a belief that's gotten in the way in the past? What's a limiting belief that's got to go? What's one that's literally, that has been what's kept you from getting there? I'm never consistent. I never follow through. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. It'll never happen. I'm reading some of the ones people are writing around. I don't have enough energy. I doubt myself. I'm not enough. My body hurts. I doubt it. It's too hard, right? I'm afraid. I don't know how. I'm too busy, right? So all of those limitations, pick one right now and then write down, what does this belief cost you? What have you missed out on in your life because of this stupid belief? This BS, belief system, or BS has another term for it too, doesn't it? Right? Bullshit, right? What is it, this thing, what does it cost you? What's missing from your life because of this belief? Has it kept you from having total intimacy and sensuality and love and joy and passion? Or even having a relationship? I've done this before. I've broken through issues like this. I not only can, I will. I'm unstoppable. I'm capable. I'm worthy of that life. God made me, so I'm available. I deserve it. Everyone deserves it. I will. I'll achieve what I want. Oh yes, there's no excuses anymore. I'm smart enough. I'm strong enough. I can learn anything it takes. I can master this. Yes, I can invest. Yes, I can move forward. I'm powerful. I must. I will. I'm no longer broken. I can take it to the next level. I will overcome. Great. Make your move. 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 Say yes. Say yes. Close your eyes. If you live by this new truth, if you got rid of the bullshit, you live by this new truth, what's your life like a year from now? Make it with sound what it feels like your life a year from now. Go ahead, celebrate it. What's your life like? Come on. That's it. Make the sound of how beautiful your life is if you're free of this bullshit and you live by your truth. One more time, make it a celebration and you feel like you can see your life change, your body, your emotions, your relationship, your finance, your whole life. Go! Get a virtual high five or fist bump and go, I'm doing this, baby. I'm doing this. I'm in. Grab a seat, feeling strong. How many of you are clear on at least one belief that has really screwed you over, kept you from having what you want that needs to go? Now you know what it is. You got a little feel, but you got to annihilate it. That's what we do in detail there. But you got to get rid of it, and then you got to condition the new one. So it's as automatic as thinking. If you have to think about it, it'll be too late. So that's where the conditioning comes in. All right, let's go to number 3. Third core action that creates an extraordinary life. And I call this one, watch your TV. What does that mean, watch your TV? It means watch your transformational vocabulary. Big word. TV stands for transformational vocabulary. Watch your language. Now that doesn't mean watch your language like using a curse word or something. It's to understand that words create a biochemical change in the body. If you say, how you doing? Okay, pretty good, great, outstanding, amazing. You can't even believe it. The emotions that you come in your body often come with the words that you attach to your experience. Remember when we did the triad? We talked about physiology, focus, and that language. The words you attach to your experience literally become your experience. I have a gentleman I really like a lot. He's a Navy SEAL, he's a master Navy SEAL, right, commander. And one of the things he's known for is like he's accomplished things most people never accomplish. And he has this little habit with language. Let me have him share it with you. It just takes a minute and a half of video. Watch. Biochemistry. When you're busy complaining about what didn't meet your expectations or some resource you don't have, the equipment, the money, the plan, the funding, whatever. While you're busy doing that, your energy's going lower. He instantly shifts it to good and finds the benefit. Because by the way, in every single moment, what's wrong is always available. You can always find something wrong, but so is what's right. And so the way we train our brains is with the language we consistently use, and we don't even realize we're doing it. So one of the ways I learned this is one day I was in a business meeting, almost 30, probably 35 years ago. And I was a young businessman. I had two partners that were much older than I was. One was a really, really centered guy, really brilliant, super wealthy guy. The other guy's really successful guy and super passionate. Like almost completely different personalities, but both brilliant guys. We're all in business together. And without going through the boring details, we had an opportunity and we're in a negotiation with another company. And together, 1 + 1 could equal 4. And so you normally go through negotiation, goes back and forth. And I'm a young guy and I don't know better. And I'm still this way. It's like, I don't need everything on the table. I'm happy to give a bunch to you. There's plenty. My whole thing is let's make the pie bigger, not scarcity. Oh my God, I got to get my thing. And so, the negotiation was going back and forth nowhere. And I finally said, look, let me just tell you what we got here. And I put all our cards on the table. I even showed them our costs. And my two partners looked at me like, what the hell are you doing? I said, let's just make a fair deal for both sides. We're all going to win from this. Let's not do this circle thing. Let's just cut to the chase. And, it sounds nice on the surface, but that'd be if someone was playing win-win with you. And this group was playing win-lose. And unfortunately, without giving you all the gory details, they took what I gave them and turned it on us. And because I give it to them, if we didn't do the deal now, they could abuse and take advantage of some of the things we built. It would actually hurt us severely in the company. And they started to do this. And one of my partners, the really passionate one, I was pissed off. Like, we've been totally honest. We're opening this up. We all can win. And these guys are doing this. So I was pissed off and I felt angry and mad as hell. Those 3 words were the words that went through him. I don't think I said it out loud. This pisses me off because we took a break. I said, I can't even believe this bullshit. It's pissing me off. I said, this makes me mad as hell. I'm so angry. And my buddy, the one who's really passionate, he goes, I'm going to kill him. He's going, I'm enraged, I'm furious. I mean, what they did is like they're trying to destroy our business. They're trying to kill our kid. I'll kill him. I'm like, calm down. It's not that bad. Have you ever been on somebody and you're mad and somebody's madder and it changes your state? Who knows what I'm talking about, right? So I'm trying to calm him down, which kind of calms me down. But in the middle of it, I looked at my other partner and, he's a super, super smart, wealthy, wise guy. And he doesn't even look slightly upset, which kind of pissed me off that he wasn't pissed off. Like, at one point I said, don't you realize what they did? And he goes, don't you understand? They killed our child, they're destroying our business, we gotta kill him. Like, calm down, calm down. And he looks at me and I'll never forget. He looks over and he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm a little peeved. I said, peeved? I've never heard anybody even use that word, peeved. Do you not understand that? Calm down, right? And in the middle of it all, I was like peeved. It struck me so weird. And he smiled. And I thought, is he being a phony? And he goes, no. I said, come on, doesn't it piss you off? He goes, it's a little annoying. Annoying? I even don't like the word annoy. It's annoying to say the word annoy. I'm pissed off that he's using annoyed, right? And I said, I don't understand. He goes, of course I understand. What they did is wrong. What they did is terrible. But, it's a little annoying. And I said to him, I realized in that moment I had never seen him really upset. And I said, do you ever really get upset? He goes, it's pretty rare. And I said, well, what about that time? I tried to think of a time that I knew was really horrible. And he's a very wealthy guy. And I said, what about the time when that IRS guy came? There was an IRS agent that came out and people are people. Most IRS agents are good people, but this guy hated that my friend was very wealthy. He was doing very well. And so he resented him. And so he manipulated things He lied about some things. My friend eventually won 3 years in court, and he won against the IRS because this guy did wrong things. But can you imagine 3 years, some of your stuff confiscated, going through it, spending money and time? I mean, would that piss you off? Who'd be pissed off by that, a little bit angry by that, right? My other friend said, I'd kill him. I'm like, calm down, right? Don't be furious, right? He goes, yeah, I was a little tinkled. Tinkled was the third word he used, tinkled. I said, come on. He goes, Tony. I said, why don't you get upset? And then I got the really cool answer. He said, because if you get upset, you lose control, and the other guy wins. I was like, wow. I think I do lose control. Not as much as my furious friend over here, but I don't think I've ever been tinkled when someone's done something that terrible, or peeved or annoyed. And in the middle of the whole thing, I'll never forget, I thought to myself, wait a second, God is giving me a gift right now. There's a pattern here, because my brain's so wired to look for patterns, right? Because I know everything in your life's a pattern. Change your pattern, change your life. Pattern of focus, pattern of language, right? Pattern of physiology. And I was like, wow, we all had now think about this. We all had the same event, meaning it was going to affect all three of us really negatively. So imagine this material, we all the same material hit us. But we all had a different set of cookie cutters of language we use when there's something really upsetting. And my pattern at that stage of life was pissed off, angry, mad as hell. So I took the dough, so to speak, that was given to me and chunked into those kind of cookies. My other friend, his words he uses all the time for anything upset him is furious, right? Enraged. Is that going to up or lower your biochemistry of upset? It's going to up it. I'm going to kill him. Pretty intense metaphor, right? And then my other buddy's taking the exact same experience, in his habitual language for anything upset is peeved, annoyed, tinkled, right? And just even thinking it made me laugh. Tinkled's such a silly, stupid thing, right? Peeved. And I thought to myself, I would never use those words. And then I thought to myself, and I've never had his reaction of calmness. Something to think about. And that's the day when I began to realize the words that you habitually use, we all have habits of words, are the emotions you habitually experience. Because you attach, whatever life experience, you attach those words and you go into that biochemistry. The words you attach to your experience, jot it down, the words you attach to your experience become your experience. So you've got to become conscious of your TV, your transformational vocabulary, and transform it. So you know what I did? I trained myself. I said, I'm going to make this fun. Next time something's really starting to piss me off, I'm going to go, this really peeves me, right? And what happened is I literally wired it, right? It's not enough to understand it, remember? I wired it over and over and over again. And then one time it happened. I started feeling myself like starting to ready to explode. I went, this really peeves me. And I started to laugh. It broke my own what? Pattern. Changed my state completely. And I remember what he said. You lose control, the other guy wins. Let me stay centered here. And for the rest of my life, I still can get angry or upset, but I don't have that intensity because I don't go there, because I use a lot of different language now that breaks the pattern. So how many of you realize there's some emotions in your life that don't serve you, some negative emotions, anger, frustration? Remember I told you when I got kicked out, my dad got kicked out, I was on my own, I was depressed all the time. I talked about how depressed I was, so I was depressed. And then one day I was like, that word is coming out of my vocabulary. And I told you the other day, it's true. I've had unbelievable ups and downs in my life. I've had times when things look really rough. And it didn't matter how rough it was, I've never gone back to that place. I've never been depressed. I've been angry, I've been sad, I've been overwhelmed, I've been stressed, but never depressed. Because I've chose to take that from my vocabulary, and it took that emotional pattern out of my life. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but your language hypnotizes you. What does a hypnotist do? They use words to alter your state. What do you do? Words to alter your state. Can your words change other people's states? Yes or no? Yes, of course they can. You can use certain words to make somebody angry, make them feel loved. But you can also use words within yourself, and the words within yourself, again, the habitual words are the ones that are controlling you. So I want you to take just a minute and a half right now. I want you to sit up in your chair and I want you to write down, what are 3 emotional patterns that don't serve you? 3 emotions you feel when you really get upset. What are the words you use? And I want you to come up with 2 or 3 words that would break the pattern, that would be silly or playful or fun. 2 or 3 words. I'll give you a minute and a half. Ready? Go.
We got love that we'll never need to hide. Love will always rise above. Whatever comes, we will be just fine. If I am yours and you are mine. Take my hand and let's fly away to another galaxy. Hold me close, I want to feel your love. Together we are free. Just be with me. Just be with me. Just be with me. Now we're one with the sun over our heads, and at night we'll be the stars. We can go any place that we want to. I don't care if that's too far. Take my hand and let's fly away to another galaxy. Hold me close, I want to feel your love. Together we are free. Just be with me. Just be with me. Just be with me.
What are the words you describe that put you in a bad state? What's the alternative? What's 2 or 3 that would be playful or funny or weird that would just break your state?
You'll be just fine if I am yours and you are mine. Take my hand and let's fly away to another galaxy. Hold me close, I want to feel your love. Together we are free. Just be with me. Just be with me. Just be with me.
All right, now just try this. Start to say the old word. Like, put yourself in a state where you'd say the old word just to get a feel. And right as you're about to say it, say the new word and do something different with your face or body. Just try it 2 or 3 times. Just start getting it in your body a little bit. I'm really, instead of pissed off, I'm really peeved about this. And change your face, change your body. Try it 2 or 3 times. Come on, do it really quick. Really, use your body. Old word, new word. Old word, new word. Come on, you can do it. That's it. Do it one more time. Oh, come on, do it with lots of passion. Many of you doing it great. Go for it. One more. That's it. Now create some energy in your body. Go, 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 go. Wake it up. All right, let's go to our 4th key. By the way, how many can see how these start stacking on top of each other? You set your goal, you figure out what's stopping you and beliefs, then you figure out the language and you crush that, change it. Now what do you got to do? You know the 4th step action, the only core action that changes anything. You take massive what, my friends? Action. Write down, massive action is the cure-all. As a core action, you just got to take massive action. When you don't know what to do, people go, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Start wherever you are. I don't need to talk to you. Throw a rock in the air. Wherever it drops, next person walks by, go, you're the first person after the rock. I need to talk to you. Right? Massive action. See, people say, I tried this. Whenever you say you tried this, you should immediately go, bullshit. Try will never get you what you want. The only thing you'll get what you want is unbelievable massive action and persistence. Now, when I say massive action, it's massive action, though, where if it's not working, you change the approach a little bit. And if you try that and it doesn't work, try something else, try something else, try something else. The person who takes massive action and keeps altering their approach will find the way. I don't care what it is, your body, your mind, your relationship, your finances. If you look at anyone who succeeds, this is the number one thing besides their psychology, but your psychology is what gets you to take the massive action. That's why we start with what you want. We get rid of the beliefs that are stopping you. We change the language that's stopping you. Now we just get ourselves in this massive action habit. Whereas like, what is a big thing I could do? Not this little thing at a time. Sometimes it's great to do a bunch of little things. Sometimes you need to just step up and do something that scares the hell out of you. I don't have the time, the money, the energy, the expertise, but I'm gonna do this anyway. I'm gonna put myself on the line because most of my progress in my life has been when I had no net. Playing without a net, where I'm on national television. I gotta turn Serena Williams around right now. Her sister just died and she can't get on the court. And if I don't succeed, everybody knows. Right? This child is suicidal. If I don't deliver, not does everybody know this child's gonna die. With no net, when there's nothing to hold you up, that's when you grow the most. But most of us don't wanna play with no net. Most of us wanna wait till we're totally certain that everything is perfect. See, that'll never get what you want. You gotta take a risk. Think about it. This 4-letter word risk in our culture, it's become so absurd. People are they think it's a risk to breathe next to another person. Can you imagine the people that founded this country that took months going across the ocean, not knowing where they're gonna go, how they feel about modern Americans, modern Europeans? I mean, they laugh their ass off about you're worried about someone is saying something different than you believe and you're feeling unsafe. I mean, come on. You have to take intelligent risks, obviously. But you gotta put yourself on the line. It's the only way you're gonna find the kind of growth that you really want in your life. And massive action is the cure-all, the absolute cure-all. But I'll tell you the key on massive action. You gotta do it while you're still in state. Jot it down. I gotta take massive action while I'm in state. You won't do it when you're not in a peak state. That's why when we said if you wanna have a breakthrough, it starts with state, right? And so I developed a principle when I was 17 years old. Because I noticed the pattern even then. Like I take all my money from paying my rent and I go to the seminar and I made a bunch of changes, but about a month later I'd be like, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And I was noticing all things I didn't do instead of noticing what I did do. That's what the mind does, right? The mind, you tend to beat yourself up. But when you beat yourself up, your energy goes down. And when your energy goes down, you don't follow through and it becomes self-fulfilling. So I developed a new principle, and it's really simple. I've used it my whole life. I taught it to my kids, and it's really simple. Never leave the site of making a decision or setting a goal without doing something that commits you to follow through when you leave there. In other words, as I said earlier, you got to do it while you're in state. No one takes massive action when they're not in state. So when you find yourself thinking about something that matters to you, your goal, your dream, your desire, you don't wait until later on and go, I'm going to do that next week. You do something now that commits you to do it next week. Enroll in the class, call the person, schedule the meeting, right? Go visit with them right now. Do something right now that commits you to follow through. And I'll give you a really fun example, a great example. Well, my daughter Jolie, I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. So Jolie's my oldest daughter. She's now 48 years old. And I got a 21-month-old, so I got quite a bit of range now, right, between the two. But I remember when Jolie had a dream when she was growing up. Her dream was always she wanted to be a dancer on Broadway. And, I'm a builder of dreams, so I did everything I could to help her do that. And at one point, I think she was 20 years old, 20 years old, I'm pretty sure. And she was going to college, and she was straight A student, and she was competing in dance competitions and winning almost all of them. And she was based in LA near Pasadena. And she came home for Christmas. And so, we had all our Christmas time. And then I tried with all my kids to have one-on-one time, right? Just to see where they are at different stages and enter in any way I can help. And so I sat Jolie down. And I said, hey, I just want to know something. I said, how you doing on your dream? And I remember her saying, well, what do you mean? I said, you know exactly what I mean. How you doing on your dream to become a Broadway dancer? She goes, well, Dad, I'm going to college right now. I'm doing straight A's. I said, I know, I'm really proud of you, but that's not your dream. She goes, well, I'm competing and I've won this one and that. I said, I know, you're winning almost everyone you go to. And I said, that's what concerns me. She said, what do you mean it concerns you? I said, because it means you're dancing against people that you're better than, so you're not growing as much. But I'm even more concerned because I teach proximity is power. And you're not in proximity with New York. You're not in the environment of New York. You're not learning their skills, and you're not competing with those dancers, which are the best in the world. She said, well, what are you saying? I'm saying, honey, I know you think I'm a smart guy. I'm a genius. Of course I am, because I'm your father. Of course I am. But I said, my real genius, honey, my real genius is a sense of urgency. And I said, I don't see that in you right now. I'm not making you wrong. But my sense of urgency has been that even when I was 17 and I had nothing, I didn't know how to eat, something inside of me taught me when an opportunity shows up, I believe the universe or God put it there. Now, not all opportunities are going to be the same, not all going to go the same thing, but my job, if I don't do my part, if I don't grab that opportunity, it's right there in my face and maximize it, then I have no excuse to God or the universe for why my life is not what it could be. So I have this urgency that says, now is the time. When would now be the right time? Is now. She's saying, well, what are you saying? I'm saying, what have I taught you? You want to learn from the best, okay? LA is not the best for Broadway. It's a different game there. It's a different level there. I suggest you move to New York City. You get in proximity. You go learn from some of the best teachers in the world, and I'll put up your stay. I'll help you get your rent handled for the first 6 months, but then you're going to work. I'm not going to have you sitting on your butt. You got to work and pay it, but I'll help you the first 6 months, and I'll pay the first 6 months of your lessons to get with the best, and then go compete with the best people in the world, because I think you're a great dancer, but I'm your dad, right? So I'm a little biased. The only way you're going to know is by competing. And I said, honey, and she goes, wow, that's a big move. I said, yeah, that's the only way your life changes, big moves. Write it down. I said, get it in your brain. It's not little moves that are going to do it. Little moves can move you in the right direction. They can start your momentum, but big moves, you got to put yourself on the line. And she said, well, when are you thinking I should do this? And I said, when would now be a good time? She said, now? I'm in the middle of the semester. It's December, right? I said, yeah, but tell me this. How will you be any closer to your goal of being a Broadway dancer in June when you finish this year than you are now? You're not. And if that's your goal, I said, here's what you're missing, urgency. And I want to tell you something. There's a timeline on a dancer. It's different than other professions. It's not like you're going to do this when you're 40 or 30. She goes, well, you're the one who told me to go to college. I said I was wrong. I wasn't wrong about college. I was wrong about the timing. Because for you to get your goal, you need to be around the best. She goes, wow. And you're saying like now? I'm saying like, yes, now. Like the end of this week, we go find you a place. I go take you to New York and you begin. You leave school, you can come back to school later on. You always come back to school. She's like, wow, that's a big decision. I said, yeah, big decisions, big action, big results. Little action, little no results. She says, well, Dad, she goes, do you mind if I talk to an expert about this? I said, sure, people pay me $1 million a year to coach them, but you should call somebody else. She goes, no, Dad, no. You always talk about an expert. I'd call Jay Maloney at CAA, who's a top agent there at the time. He's passed away now, but he was a top agent at one of the top agencies there. And he knows everybody, and he knows the business. I said, honey, that's actually really smart. You should call him. She goes, okay. I said, what are you doing sitting here? She goes, what are you talking about? I said, when would now be the time to make the call? She goes, now? I said, right now. Right? She hadn't been home for about 2 years going to school. She forgot what it's really like, right? So she goes, and the minute she leaves the room, I pull up my cell phone, I call Jay. He's a good friend. I said, Jay. I said, listen, I only got a second. Jolie's going to call you. Listen, she's a dancer, wants to be on Broadway. She's studying here in L.A. I told her she's got to get in proximity, got to go the best. She's got to go compete there. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But if it's right, tell me I'm right, and tell her I'm right. Which one is it? He goes, no, Tony. It's a different culture there. She needs to know the people. She needs to compete with them. You're spot on. Okay, well then just tell her what to do. She comes back 2 minutes later, says, he's on another line. He's busy. I said, you're going to give up that fast? You're never going to get your dream. Get your butt back in there and call him again. Keep calling until you get through. True story. I'm not exaggerating. So she goes and calls him, and she's gone for like 45 minutes or an hour. She comes back, and she's in this really interesting state. She goes, wow. She goes, I just talked to Jay for like 45 minutes, and he was so wonderful. And he said, I really do need to get there. It's different. It was the whole thing. I said, father knows best, huh? Right? So I took my little daughter. Now, I grew up dirt poor. She grew up living in the Del Mar Castle. We'd go on vacation at my resort that I own, my own island, right? I'm not bragging. It's just a different lifestyle than I grew up with. So I appreciate those things, but it's all she knew. So I take her to New York and I get her a really crappy apartment in an area nice enough I know she's going to be okay, but I'm not spoiling her. And she's used to, going down to the beach in Del Mar, California, and it turned out to be the coldest winter in like 14 years in New York. And my little daughter, but she hardened up really quick. She got strong and started doing classes, and she's making great progress. And one day, I'm taking her mom and the family, and we're going to come into New York, and she knew we were coming and stuff. And so we land in New York. We're obviously going to go see Jolie. And sure enough, there's a car there, a limo, pick us up. I'm like, wow, impressive. And then I'm thinking, where'd you get the money for this car, this limo? So we get in the limo, and I'm so excited to see my daughter and see how she's doing. I think she'd been in New York at that time about 8 months, 7, 8 months. And the driver drives past the area where we normally make the turnoff to go to her apartment. I was like, well, no, you missed the turnoff. He goes, no, she's meeting you somewhere else. And we keep on driving, and we go down the streets of New York, and we go through the theater district, and he pulls up to a theater, and I look up on the sign, and it's the play Tommy that Elton John created, and there's my daughter's name starring 7 months after she went to New York. Give it up for Jolie, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I take full credit for all my daughter's success in life. No. But what I was able to do was push her over the edge so she got herself in proximity, so she got herself in the place. And then her commitment, her energy, her focus, her discipline, her skill, her spirit took over. Pretty amazing. Still to this day, one of the happiest moments of my life to see her just blossom like that. But lots of people don't blossom because they don't put themselves on the line. They go, I'll do this later. That's why, do it now. My favorite, ask anybody who works around me, what's Tony's number one word? Now. When would now be a good time? Right now. Because now's the only moment you can control. And if you don't do it now when you're in state, if you're here right now, we're about to end. When this ends today, that's it. And there's still a gap. Are you going to let this be the end or the beginning? You got to figure out, what are you going to do now? Come join us now. Schedule something now. Make it happen now. Join the UP Now. Do something now while you're in state, because otherwise it'll be great for a while, and you know what's going to happen. It's just human nature. It'll drift. But that's why I didn't work out once and was fit for life. I created a way of being, a way of conditioning, so it stayed. That's what's going to change your life. Massive action is the cure-all. Here's the final one, number 5, core action. And this one's a little counterintuitive for people. People are all trying to figure out, how do I get what I want? How do I get the most out of this? The last principle, the last action is make it a habit to give way more than you expect to receive. Give. Make it a habit to give way more than you expect to receive. If in business, you always try to do more for your clients than they could ever imagine, you will build a brand. It'll come back to you. Maybe not from that person, but it'll come back to you. But more importantly, you will feel different about you when you're a giver versus a trader. Like, if you have a transaction, you're giving something to get something. But if you know you're going to give 1,000 times more, 100 times more, 10 times more than the transaction's value, you have no trouble sharing with somebody or convincing them. And by the way, if you own your own business, which I know many of you do, man, you got to become the best persuader in your company. If you can't do that, if you really believe what you have can change someone's quality of business or life or relationship, you have an obligation to do whatever it takes to get through to them. Because people get stuck. I can't. I saw someone the other day saying, after Sage was here, and they said, oh, Sage, thank you so much, but I don't have the money to go to the seminar. If you don't have $495, and you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, you better go to the damn seminar because it isn't going to change. That's absurd. Or $181 a month. It has nothing to do with the money. It's not going to change my life an ounce, but it's going to change yours. And I'm talking to someone who's done it. But you got to get yourself out of scarcity. Scarcity, once it's inside you, it eats you, it owns you. And I'm not telling you this as a lecture. I'm telling you this because I experienced it early on in my own life. I found myself literally early in my life, I can remember the day that I had 2 days that changed my life radically. The first one was I went to work for Jim Rohn. How many again have heard of Jim Rohn, the personal development speaker? So guess what? I go to work for Jim Rohn. I'm 17 years old. I fall in love with what he's teaching. I want everyone to have this. I don't have a lot of skill, but I have tremendous passion. And just on passion and love, and because I got myself to go to bank after bank after bank with no money to borrow the money to go to a seminar, I could convince most other people to do the same because I'd done it. I wasn't saying go do something. Some people it's easy. They put on their credit card, just go. For me, it was hard. It was so hard. I made myself do it, but because it was hard, I got more out of it. Right? I mean, I captured every word the guy said. I didn't pee. I stayed in that room, man. I got everything I could suck out of it, and then I went out and used it and changed my life. And by the way, Jim Rohn is now passed. I spoke at his funeral. But for probably a decade, he'd start his seminar the same way. Because everything in Jim Rohn's seminar, he was a beautiful man, and he thought everything through, and he practiced everything. Like, he'd turn a certain angle, and he'd drop the chalk in his hand. Everything was choreographed. And he would do the seminar, and this happened about 10 years before he passed. And he'd say, one of the things he'd say early on is, I want to do a really good job today because, you never know who's in your audience. He goes, I can remember 20 years ago, there was this young man sitting right here in the front row. And he was so enthusiastic, he was finishing my sentences. And it was me because I was reading all these books and I was just so enthusiastic. I was just a 19-year-old kid, like complete. And he goes, and so I couldn't help but notice him. And he came up afterwards and said he wanted to work with me. And he said, and that young man kept growing, kept learning. And today his name is Tony Robbins. And everybody started cheering and goes, so I want you to know. And then he told the story of Mike Keys, the other guy who's my friend from 45 years ago when we went, who had no money as well, because we were hungry. You know what makes people successful? Hunger, right? If you can hunger to grow more, to be more, to give more, to do more, to share more, to become more, then you're never going to be bored, and you're always going to grow, and you're going to have fulfillment, and you're going to succeed. But most people are hungry for the moment to lose a certain amount of weight to get to the party, and then they lose their hunger. You look at Oprah's still hungry to learn and grow. That's why she is who she is. You look at Richard Branson, a friend of mine. Richard is, he was 16 when he started Virgin in a little graveyard. And sure enough, he went from that to where he is now. Almost 70 now, I think, 71. And guess what? He's as hungry today as he was then. Hunger will make you expand. But in order to be hungry, you got to have something you want more than just yourself. You got to want to have something to give to your kids or to your husband or wife or to your community or to humanity. Not virtue signaling what you tell people, what you do. And so I start out with all this enthusiasm, going to work for Jim Rohn. I'm going to make this happen. This is amazing. And I did incredibly well. And I was sleeping in my car when I started, and I made enough money to get a little apartment and so forth. But then after about, probably 4 or 5 months, I went out and I worked so hard, but I got into the hard work and I lost a little bit of the edge of what I was doing just from exhaustion probably, I don't know what. And things weren't working as well. And, when you're in business, you go through some ups and downs as you learn things. And I went through a learning phase. And the people at the company thought, some people refunded their money because I convinced them in the last minute when they went to the bank, they felt, I can't do this, and they gave up. So they thought maybe I was conning them. So they kept all my commissions. So I had no money for food. I was eating spaghetti that I put ketchup on it. I got at McDonald's to put on the spaghetti. So that's how broke I was. But I was like, everyone's saying, go get a job. This is my career. I want to change lives. It was a really painful time. And I would drive about an hour and a half to where I had to go to work each day in Orange County to where I lived in San Gabriel Valley of LA. And so I was finishing at I was on the freeway. It was about almost midnight, like 11:45, 11:50 at night. Almost nobody on the 57 freeway in that part of the county. And I I was emotional because I was feeling so. Have you ever been in that place where you feel like nothing's working? Who knows what I'm talking about here? Like you've given your all, right? And I'm like, I'm trying so hard, I'm giving my all, nothing's working. Why isn't this working, God? And then all of a sudden I had this pure like explosion of emotion inside myself. And I pulled over to the side of the road right on the freeway. And in those days I used to keep these 8.5 by 11 hard journals. I still have this journal to this day. I still have the page that I wrote on. And I just, with tears pouring through me, I wrote one phrase, a giant phrase on one page. And it said, the secret to living is giving. And then I just started crying. I just realized, holy shit. I started this out with Jim Rohn trying to give to everybody, and then I got into the hard work, and then I started focusing on what I'm not getting, and the more I focused on what I was not getting, I didn't get more. I got to return to that place inside myself. And so I did. And over the next 3, 4, 5 months, things changed. But then, you're in business. You have learnings, right? It's anybody who says life is a straight line has not been to nature. There's no straight lines in nature, are there? If there's a straight line, a human grew it. Because everything in life grows up a little bit, down a little bit, but if it's healthy, it grows upward. The overall pattern's up, but there's ups and downs. And I went through a little bit of a down period where I made a couple of business mistakes and I was totally broke again. And I moved in this little bachelor apartment in Venice, California, 400 square feet, no kitchen, washing, again, my dishes in the bathtub and cooking on a hot plate. And I honestly felt sorry for myself. I got in my little pity pot. How could this happen after all this? I lost that edge one more time somehow. I let the environment change my state instead of my state being stronger than the environment. I hadn't learned that lesson yet. And then I never used drugs or alcohol because people in my family did that, were quite abusive, so I had an aversion to it. But I used food like it was a drug. I gained 38 pounds in about 7 weeks. That's not easy to do. You have to eat tons of food and not move very much to pull that shit off, right? Which is what I did. And as I told you the other day, I started watching soap operas and it was horrible. And I had that day where I ran out of gas. I walk home and I find this note on the door, my eviction notice. And then the same day, a buddy of mine I'd not seen in a year and a half knocks on the door and I got all these locks and I open it up and I go, what do you want? He goes, Tony. And I got this scraggly beard and this beer belly, 38 pounds heavier than I am now. And I'm like, let me in. I let him in and I was humiliated. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I told you. I said, I like it here. It was so painful. So I worked hard to change. And then the next day I realized I got $26, maybe $27 and some change to my name. I've not paid my rent and I don't have any money for food outside that. And I don't have any prospects. It was scary. So I got pragmatic. My brain's like, okay, I just got to take care of right now. Right now, I got to figure out how to make this money last. And I got to eat something. So I'm going to go to all-you-can-eat salad bar. It's like, no, I'm going to go to all-you-can-eat salad bar where they've got like tacos and things and carbs so I can load up for the winter, right? This is my brilliant plan. And I lived in Venice, California, which was, it's kind of a mixed place now. There's some upscale places. Back then there was not a mixed place, a terrible place. But the next city over is called Marina del Rey, and it's like a wealthy place. And they're apart, they butt up against each other. My house is like 2 miles maybe from where the marina was, where all the yachts would come in. And there was a little place there called El Chorrito, a Mexican restaurant. Still there. They moved the location, but it's still along the edge there. And I was like, I'm going to go to El Chorrito, and I'm going to load up for the winter, eat all the salad bar, tacos and stuff, so I can make it last. It's like, I think it was like $5.95 or so, like $6, $7. I think it was $6, all you could eat. And then I didn't take my car because parking was like $3.50. So every dollar counted. So I walked there, not a big deal, a couple miles, and I got in and I loaded up the food about this high, and I just start stuffing my face, and then I had it so I could look out to the water and see the boats going by and just think, boy, these people have this incredible lifestyle. Someday I'm going to do that. And then just to my right was the front door. I could see out the boats, and I'm just chomping along. I'm not looking at the front door. And I'm starting to finish up my meal, and I'm starting to get full. And the door opens, and this stunning woman opens the door. I couldn't help but notice. And then there was a moment I paused, like, is there a man with her? Like, as if I had any chance with her at that stage of my life, right? And sure enough, there was a man with her, but he was about this tall. And he was wearing a suit, three-piece suit, and he had a little vest on him. And I noticed how he opened the door for her. And then I noticed he pulled out the chair for her. And then he sat across from her, and her back was to me. And I could see his face looking into his mother's eyes. And there was just, I don't know, something about it moved me. I don't know if I was thinking about my own mom and the challenges we've been through, or I don't know what it was, but I felt such deep emotion. And I felt this adoration towards this beautiful little boy. So I got up and took the little money I had and I paid the bill. And then I walked up and I didn't look at the woman. That wasn't the purpose. And I said, I want to shake your hand. What's your name? I said, I'm Tony. He goes, I'm Charlie. I said, Charlie, I said, you're a class act. I said, I watched the way you held the door open for your lady here. I watched how you pulled out the chair for her, how you're looking straight into her eyes. You're not looking all over the place. You're just really with her. And you're taking her lunch like this. And he goes, well, she's my mom. I said, well, that's amazing. He goes, well, I can't take her to lunch because they don't have a job yet. I think he was in the third grade, so he's probably 8, 9 years old, right? And I said, and I had no plan. In that moment, I said, yes, you are taking her to lunch. And I reached in my pocket, and I took all the money I had in the world, probably $19 and some change. I didn't count it. And I dumped it all on the table right in front of him. And his eyes got bigger than garbage can covers. And he goes, I can't take that. And I said, sure you can. He said, how come? I said, because I'm bigger than you are. And he started to laugh. And I didn't look at the woman. I wasn't there for that purpose. And I said, have a beautiful day. I shook his hand. And I floated out of the building. And the guy goes, where's your car? And I'm like, oh, I realized I don't have a car. So I was like this stupid white guy skipping down the street, if you can imagine, filled with joy, when I should have been freaking out. I have no money even for my next meal, much less paying my rent. And I went home, and I could never remember a place where I didn't feel that scarcity, that pain, that fear. I had no fear. That I went to sleep. And I woke up the next day and I wasn't scared. There was no fear. It was weird. No money, no food, no idea where I'm going to go, nothing, zero. I just gave it all away. And I remember I was going through the snail mail, because those days we didn't have email, didn't exist. And it's bill after bill after bill. I felt myself dropping in energy, and then all of a sudden, there's this letter there. It's a personal letter, and I popped it open, and it's from this friend of mine that I'd loaned money to when he was in a really rough place. I didn't have a lot of money, but he was in a horrible place, and I loaned him $1,100, which would be like $1 million plus today, for me back then anyway. And then he was supposed to pay me back in 2 or 3 months, and it had been a year and a half. And now I was in a tough place, and I called him day after day. No response. And then I got this letter, and as I'm reading the letter, it says, Tony, I'm so sorry. You were there for me when I needed it. I've not been there for you. I'm embarrassed. I owe you this. I finally got the money together. I owe you $1,100, but I put $1,200 in just for interest. I'm so sorry. And in those days, $1,200, I could live a month on $1,200. And so I felt this just incredible euphoria. And then I just started crying uncontrollably. And I thought, what am I crying? I'm not sad, right? What is this? And I realized it was more like grace tears. Do you know what I mean? And I was just like, why did this happen? And as humans, the good news, we get to decide why things happen. We get to decide the meaning. So I made a decision that day that changed my life forever. I decided why this happened is because I did the right thing. I didn't do it for stars on my chart. I didn't do it for the woman's attention. I didn't do it for virtue signaling. I just felt was right, and I gave everything I had. I didn't think about myself. And then I experienced this freedom that I'd never felt in my life. Because for the first time, scarcity was gone. For the first time in my life, I taught my brain by giving that money away that there will always be more than enough. And then what happens? The next morning, I get a check for $1,200. I don't know if that's true, but I believe it. And because I believe it, that day changed my life like nothing else. It made me reinforce the part of my soul and spirit that knows the secret to living is giving. And as I said, I've been through so many things in my life that were so scary, so painful, but I've never gone back to that scarcity, never, ever again. If you'll give when it's hard, if you won't give the dime out of the dollar, if you're not going to give 1 million out of 10 or 100 million out of 1 billion, forget it. But if you'll give when you feel there's nothing left, you're going to discover on the other side is no more fear. And what really stops us, my friends, what stops everybody from grabbing the opportunity is the fear. And I'm not enough. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't know the people. I don't know the things. I don't know where to start. It's all BS. Trust your spirit. Trust your soul. And the rewards are beyond imagination. And this week, by the way, this week is about trying to give you more than you could ever expect. And I hope that's what you felt out of these 5 days. It's been my love wish to you, and I hope it's really changed your life. We're not done. We got more, but I just want to say thank you to start with. So I hope you felt served. We've got 2 more gifts for you here, so don't go anywhere. But I hope today that you don't let this be the end. I hope you let this be the beginning. And I hope you'll join me and let me have the privilege of serving you for 4 days and nights, and you'll get over whatever would normally stop you. And I promise I will not betray your trust. I will over-deliver as I always do. And it'll be 4 days you'll never forget. So I hope I get to see you at Unleash the Power Within. And I know many of you have already signed up. I look forward to seeing you then. I want to give you 2 more gifts. Brief, but really important, so please stay with me here for the end here. The first gift is I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who's going to take you through a quick process so you really close the gap. And I'll tell you a 2-second story about this man. He's chosen family for me now, but I'm almost embarrassed to admit somebody wanted to introduce us years ago. We've been friends for about a decade and a half or so now, I think. And he said, you got to meet this guy, and he really wants to meet you. And he got your stuff 20 years ago, and he's really built his career and done $1 billion in business, and he's a great guy. And I said, well, who is he? He told me his name, and he goes, he has these infomercials. And you know what's so silly is when I started out, I was trying to reach people, and I didn't want to go like just write a book and go work for corporations doing hour speeches, because you're not going to change somebody's life in an hour. So I was like, I'm going to build it. I'm going to create it my own, and people come to it. But in order to do that in the very beginning here, I had to get my message out. And so I saw these silly infomercials of people saying, you get rich easily here. And they'd show this stupid stuff that really doesn't work. And it was annoying, but I thought these people are still on the air, so people are responding. Imagine if you did something real that would move people, and I could have President of the United States do the endorsement and a great athlete. I'm not paying them to say it. They'll tell people he's the real thing. And then maybe I could reach more people. And I did it, and it worked. And literally for about a decade and a half, how many of you ever saw one of those old infomercials that I did? Anybody old enough to have seen those? We were on the air in North America every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day, somewhere in North America for about a decade and a half. And it brought me the President of the United States as a client, Andre Agassi. So it was really great. But I hated that guy, the infomercial guy. I hated that, right? Because what was infomercials, I'd be between spray-on hair and fake diamonds, right? Something like that. I hated it. So I hated when somebody said that, but ironically, when he said he does these infomercials, I thought, oh, an infomercial guy, right? Who's ever judged somebody before you met him in a way that was wrong, right? So I said, look, I'm so busy, and I really am. Why don't you invite him to the seminar as my guest, and then I'll have like a 15-minute snack. I can't do all lunch snack with him. And that's when I met Dean Graziosi. And we supposedly have many of you know who he is now. That's a beautiful man. And we were supposed to have this 15-minute lunch, and it went for the whole 90 minutes that I had every minute till I had to be back on stage. Because, I care so deeply, and so many people are such charlatans. And I met this man, and it's like, wow. I could see, not by what he said, but his actions. He cares as much as I do. And he also started with nothing, like I did, and built it up. So I built this process years ago called Closing the Gap. And so I'm going to introduce you to Dean here for 15 minutes. He's going to show you this little process, and then we're going to come back, and I got a final gift for you, so stick around for it. And then, of course, I have VIPs. So give it up for my dear friend and chosen family, Dean Graziosi, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Tone. Thanks, Tone. Hey, now how do you follow that, right? You had me in tears over here. I had to get in a better shape. Hey, everybody, I've been watching you guys play full out for 5 days straight. Amazing, amazing. You know, before we go any further, I do have a tool that I want to share with you that I originally got from Tony, and I fine-tuned it. And it's just a tool I use. I've been using it now for, I don't know, over 20 years, 2 decades. And I would bet to say this one tool is probably my biggest unfair advantage of anything I've ever done. So I can't wait to share it with you. But Tony got in my heart, and I wanted to just share a quick little story because I believe it makes it easier when you see that we're on the same boat, or maybe where you're sitting today. Sometimes it's hard to look out and see where you're going. But if I kind of back up a little, 25 years ago when I got to meet Tony through an infomercial in the middle of the night. It's why I'm in this business. But 25 years ago, maybe this sounds familiar. I was just someone who knew they were meant for more. I don't know any better way to explain it. Who in here right now, I can see so many of your beautiful faces. Who in here knows for a fact you're meant for more? Put it in the chat. I get to see Google or YouTube chat and Facebook chat and all your faces. And I can remember being told by family, you're a dreamer, get real, all those things. And there was something that Tony spoke into my heart. I felt like he was talking directly to me. And it was the first time I ever cut a check for information, right? I paid, and I couldn't wait for the tapes. This is how long ago it was. It was cassettes, and I had a little Sony Walkman with the earbuds. And I remember, yeah, that's how long ago it was. And I remember, it's probably 25 years ago, I remember listening to every single word, and it released me. And not only did I feel I was meant for more, I knew I could do more. I realized my past could be my fuel, not my anchor. And all the amazing stuff you've learned here, and all the things so many of you are going to learn at UPW, and it shifted my life. But there's two important pieces I want to tell you out of that before I get to this quick tool. One, I wrote down in my journal 25 years ago that someday I wanted to meet Tony, thank him, and maybe we do business together. And crazy how the world works. 12 years ago, that story is true. Someone introduced us. We spent 90 minutes. Then he invited me to his house, and 2 weeks later, I was at his house, and we spent the whole day on the beach. Sage, his beautiful wife that you guys got to meet yesterday, kept bringing us food, and we had this amazing conversation. And here's what I want to tell you. The man that you know, some of you for the first time, 70% of you are brand new to Tony's world. How amazing is that? Some of you are meeting him for the first time. There's an old saying that sometimes you have to be careful when you meet your heroes. Because we set these expectations of people, don't we? Anybody ever set their expectation of somebody and you meet them and they're like, wah, wah, wah. I see you, Clint and Kristen and Ashley and Francis raising your hand. I got to meet Tony, and I want to tell you, the man you think you know for the last 5 days is exactly the man he is, but maybe more. He does more for people when no one's watching than anyone I've ever met. He's inspired me to be a better man, inspired me to be a better husband, a better leader, and I'm so grateful he's in my life. So I know he's still watching. I love you, brother. I gotta share one quick thing about my first UPW, and I think this is really important because I know so many of you are on your way. I mean, did Tony put together an amazing package for you? Not just a UPW ticket, the total transformation package. Congratulations, like that is insane. If you're in, congrats. If you're not, please do. But I want to tell you my first experience. Tony did invite me to an event. And I remember it was a time in my life when it was all about business, all about my career. I didn't come from anything. I had some momentum. My businesses were doing good, and I was ready for another level. So I remember going to UPW saying, I'm going to get next level, business experience. In fact, you guys might know this, Mark Benioff, who started Salesforce, a multi-billion-dollar company. He designed the whole thing at Unleash the Power Within. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get my business unfair advantage. But here's one thing I learned. Sometimes we go, have you ever done something where you think you know what you want, but you actually leave with what you need? Maybe that doesn't make sense to you, so I'm going to tell you this story before I share this before I share this tool that I want to share with you guys. So I go and I'm learning stuff, different state, next level, bust those, focus on solutions, new story. Oh, I had an empowering new story. And all of a sudden, Tony goes in upstream, goes into your heart, into your soul, and he's doing this exercise, kind of rooting out the problems that live in all of us, right? I don't know how to make it any clearer. But he did an exercise, and a woman stands up, you know, is virtually or in person stands up, and Tony does an intervention with her. And she's talking about all the things that went wrong and what her father did to her. Now, we all have our story. My dad was the youngest of 12. He was physically abused. He was sexually abused. And he just never worked on that. So my dad was very angry his whole life. He's a dear friend. I love my dad more than life now. He's 86 years old. But my dad was very violent and fought with everybody. At 11 years old, I had a bleeding ulcer because I was so afraid of what my dad would do next. But I forgave him, and I move on, and I was professional, and I hustled in business and probably used that as pain to run away from. And Tony does this intervention. I'm here to learn business. I know there's lots of other things at UPW and health and love, but I'm going to be wealthier and expand my business. And Tony goes through this and gets to a point, and he says to this woman, if you're going to blame your dad for all the things wrong, you better blame him for all the things that you're doing right. And I realized in that moment that I'm not the kind of man to my wife that my dad was to his wives. I'm not the kind of father he is. My dad couldn't get momentum. I have 13 different companies at the time. I've done almost $1 billion in sales at the time. I'm living a thriving life, and I realized all the things I had were because of that man, not in spite of that man. And in that moment, I just had to tell this story. I forgave my dad completely for the first time in my life at 46 years old. And I have to tell you, I went there for business and I got it. But I left with 3,000 pounds off my shoulders because he got into what I really needed. He knew I could get the business part. That was the part I needed. So I just want to tell you guys, some of you who are already going, congrats. Not yet, make sure you do. You're going to go for what you think you want. Wow, be ready to be delivered what you need. So you guys ready for this tool that I want to share with you guys? You learned some of it today with Tony. You've learned some of it through the 5 days. This is just in 10 minutes, 12 minutes here. I'm going to condense a process that I do 4 times a year. And it's a game changer. It's a game changer to get you aligned on your focus. So let's go to the whiteboard. Follow me over here. How I start this process, and Tony did this today, so it was one of your questions earlier, but you got clarity on where you are, right? If you have GPS in your phone and you're going to travel someplace, you need a starting point, don't you? Right? You can't drive from New York to Florida if you're here in the States until you know where you are in New York. You need a starting point. And to me, where you are to me means all change starts with being honest. Tony shared that earlier. But all change starts with being honest, meaning so many people you meet go, I'm blessed. I'm grateful. Hell yes, we should all be blessed, and we're all grateful. 165,000 people a day die. If you Google it, that's the number. We're here. Like Jocko said, our hearts are still beating. Of course we should be blessed and grateful, but it doesn't mean we should settle. If you're here, there's another level of happiness, joy, abundance, income, freedom that you want. Is that true? If it wasn't true, you wouldn't be here. You'd be doing something else on a Saturday, right? So what I love is if here should be, where are you with complete honesty? Ready to start your own thing, but somebody in your family doesn't support you, so you've been dimming your light to match them? You're afraid to speak out and say, I want to be a coach, I want to start this business, I want to go to the next level, I need this relationship to end, or I want the intimacy back, right? All change starts when you get disturbed by your own inaction. So real quick, where you are is starting with complete honesty. You guys, I get to see a tile of hundreds of people here, but there's tens and tens of thousands of people watching live. Hundreds of thousands will watch this in the next couple hours. You're here for a reason. Stop lying to yourself. Get to the root cause, even if it's painful. Okay, number 1, where are you? And zoom out a little bit here. Let's go to this one. The next one is, where do you want to go? Tony talks about this a lot. I've watched Tony go on stage and put somebody on stage and put them in a chair and say, all right, what is it that you don't want in life? And they'll ramble it off like they memorized it their whole life. I don't want this. I don't want my job anymore. I don't want this income. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want my husband to say this. And then Tony will physically get them up, put them in another chair and go, tell me what you want out of life. And most people go, oh, Good question. Or, let me think about that, right? So we know what we don't want, but most of the time in life, we don't spend enough time figuring out exactly what you do want. That's why, oh my God, UPW, what you learned to have that compelling future, to have that lighthouse that you could stare at, because the biggest sales job we have to do in the entire world is selling ourselves, that we deserve it, that we can be courageous, that we can boldly move forward. In uncertain times, we can be certain. We can be the strength our family needs. So we need to sell ourselves, but you can't sell yourself unless you know where you want to go. I got to tell you a story. A partner I had along the way, sweetest man. Tony knows him as well. His name's Ethan. He's got 8 children, and he's a church leader. He's an incredible man. And I always go to him for advice, especially on parenting, because he juggles 8 children. I have 4. Tony has 5. He's got 8. So he said to me one day, he was taking a bunch of kids from the church, from 15 to 17, whitewater rafting. And he told me this story because he loves sharing lessons, and I want to share this with you. And he said, they take him to Colorado. I've never been whitewater rafting, but I guess they go rapids from 0 to 5. And he said the rapids were a 5, and he was a nervous wreck. He's responsible for all these kids. And he said, I think we're going to scrap it. And he said, this salt and pepper hair guide comes out of the tent, and he goes, dads, calm down. Boys, get in the raft. We're going to be fine today, but we're going to follow the positive point. And Ethan said, he was like, what the heck's a positive point? He said, let me just tell you, when we're in the boat today, wherever I point, you guys don't look at anything else. Just look where I point and paddle your guts out in that direction, and we'll be fine. He said the first 10 years, I'm a slow learner. He said I'd see the downed tree in the water that could flip us over, and I'd say, hey, everybody, don't hit the tree over there. And they'd all look towards the tree. The raft would go right towards it and flip over. Or don't look at the rock. Let's not hit that rock. He said I'd point to the rock. We'd go to the rock, and we'd flip over. He said what I realized over time is if I figure out exactly where we want to go and we just put all our effort into that, we'll get there. And he said, so we're going to be fine. Dad's kids, get in the boat. And isn't that an amazing lesson in life? How many times in life are we trying to avoid potholes, avoid the rock, when we're not spending the time focusing on where we want to go? Now, I love a little hack that I learned along the way. Because sometimes in a crazy, busy world, it's hard to focus on where we want to go, isn't it? Some nights we're just happy to put our head in the pillow and get to sleep. So instead of setting goals looking forward, here's my little hack. What if you turned around and looked back and it was the best year of your life? Really hear that. What if we're here next year on Tony's challenge? I hope he does it again next year. And it was the best year of your life. Take a moment, really think about that. What does the best year of your life look like? With your freedom, with your income, with your happiness, with your intimacy, with your passion. Not what you're going to get. I want to get love in my life. I want my love back. No. It's the end of the year. And like, oh my God, my heart is filled. I had the most love ever. I had the most control of my calendar ever. I look better than I've ever looked. I walk in a room and everybody wonders how the hell I look so good. That's the way we get the opportunity to, instead of looking forward, we look back on the best year. Now, I'm going fast here today, but I would suggest you go through that and write down, what would the best year of your life look like? Is it freedom, time, love, income, career, business? This is my little hack that I'm sharing with you in 12 minutes. It's so much of what Tony taught me over the years, and it's my quick hack to get me straight. Because I want to know where I am and where it is I want to go at all time. Because what's in between here, guys? A gap. There's a gap. If we're here with our income and we want to go here, there's a gap. We need new capabilities. Our best thinking got us here. Our best strategies got us here. Our best capabilities got us here. So we need new capabilities along the way. But before we get those capabilities, if we know where we are and you know where you want to go, the game changer for me was why. Why do you want it? I guess that should be a question mark. You know, Tony always says that unless you attach an emotion to something, nothing happens. So I hired a gentleman over a decade ago. My kids were really small, heck, over 15 years ago, as a consultant for one day. I paid him $10,000. I thought it was a lot of money. And I hired him to help me get my students more results. I wanted more people doing what you are here today, to take action, not just listen. Listening to Tony is great. I hope you guys had some amazing inspiration, some motivation, but you want transformation. You got to lock this in. You got to take uncomfortable action. You got to be disturbed in action. You got to get to UPW. You got to take whatever it takes to move forward, because dreaming is not enough. So I hired this gentleman to come in, and I said, help me get more results for my students. First thing he said, 7 levels deep. I'm like, all right, if that'll work, give me it. He's like, no, I can't just give it to you. I got to have this experience with you. I'm not going to go through the whole exercise with you, but I'll tell you the theory of it. Is he asked me, why the heck would you spend 10 grand to hire me? And I said, well, I want my students to have more impact. He's like, great. 7 levels. He said, why do you want your students to have more impact? Makes sense? He asked me 7 times. And I realized this. The next time I might have said legacy and growth, but there was something that happened the 5th time he asked me. And I'll jump right to that part. I went from my head to my heart. And something popped out of my mouth I had never said before. I said, I never want to go backwards. And I started thinking about being broke as a kid and watching my mom work 2 jobs and hand-me-downs and no lunch money. And I'm like, I'm never going back there. And I started getting that emotional feeling. Some of you can think about why you work so hard right now, I'm guessing. And I started thinking, I'm like, I never want to go backwards. Hell no. So I thought I found it, but it was only the 5th time. And he said to me, why don't you ever want to go backwards? And I said, I want my kids to have choices. Now, I don't know about you. If you have kids, I started getting emotional, tears coming out of my face, and I had some of my team members there, and I'm like, oh, but what did that mean? I'm not talking about raising entitled children. The world has plenty of them. I don't need to contribute to that. But I didn't feel like I had choices as a child, right? I'd come home. I loved my step-granddad, Leo Rizzo. He was amazing. Took me fishing, salmon fishing, mackerel fishing. I come home. He was my grandfather, bought me a BMX bike. I come home. We're moving. Say goodbye to Leo. You're never going to see him again. Out of control, out of control. Different schools. My parents were married 9 times between them. So all of a sudden, I'm like, I want my kids to have choices, and I'm emotional. I think I have it. And this gentleman, Joe Stump, says to me, Dean, that's only 6. I got to ask you one more time. Why is it that you want your children to have choices? And my why, my emotional thing popped out that I've been thinking about every single day, literally since that time. I said, I need to be in control, Joe. And I was crying and emotional at the time. I said, I need to be in control. And what I realized in that moment, why did I work so hard? Why did I want more? Because I need to be in control of my time. Listen, everybody has their different why, their different success. For me, I love what I do for a living. I love working hard, but I also drive my kids to school every day. I make them lunch every day. I pick them up from school every day. I catch for my daughter for softball. I coach my son's baseball. I get to be the husband my wife deserves. Nobody can tell me that I can't do that, or it's not on my calendar, or you got to come into work early. I had to be an entrepreneur. I had to do my own thing. I had to be massively successful so nobody could tell me what to do when, because I would rather die than not be there for my children. I would literally give up everything if I couldn't coach Little League or catch for my daughter when she pitches, when she practices twice a week. So I know my why. I need to be in control of my calendar. And I don't care how much money you think it is. When you dig in and understand why, nothing gets in the way. You don't need a time management system. You don't have to worry about procrastination. If your why is big enough and you know where you are and where you want to go, and if you're in your heart, there is nothing that can stop you. So I know this is the stuff you've been learning from Tony better than anyone on the planet. This is the man that gets it. And those of you, like I said, going to UPW and a part of the transformation package, oh my God, you get to anchor this stuff in for life, for true transformation. But when you can really understand why you want it, there's only one thing left. If you're here, want to go here, and you know why your heart wants it, the next thing is, how are you going to get there? How? Most people dream, I see my bigger future. I'd like to make more, impact more. I'd love to have control of my calendar. I'd love not to have this old thing burden me. I'd love not to be thinking that my dad, what he did to me when I was a kid, or why that person was unfaithful to me and left me. I'd love not to dim my glow. How? Sometimes how can really freak you out. I want more. I feel it. I see it. I want it, but how do I get there? So I'm going to share something with you, my biggest breakthrough ever in this exercise. And about 10 years ago, I changed it to not only how, but who. Who has already been there? Who can help me gain these capabilities to overcome those obstacles? Forgive my dad, be better with my emotions, focus on solutions, know that life happens for me, not to me, so I can create a new identity, so I can anchor in the values of the man I want to be and the one I'm becoming. Who can give me those values in my life? This who has been Tony Robbins so many times over. The how has been things like Unleash the Power Within. I've been to 12, and I'm speaking at this one. Can't wait to see so many of you. So I want to share with you, I'm not trying to simplify going to your next level, but so many times in life, don't we complicate it? You're here. You want to go here. Your best thinking got you here. Your best capabilities got you here. You need to craft a compelling future. You need to get in your heart on why the hell you want it, and don't let anybody or anything or any emotion or stupid imposter syndrome get in your way. And then you got to learn from someone who's already been there. I don't know anybody that's better at modeling or identifying patterns and then sharing through his heart as Tony Robbins. So come back over here. So if today it sounds like I'm trying to give you a cool tool that changed my life, I am. But if it also sounds like I'm trying to enroll you to take action, I am as well. Because I know the end result of making this not the end of 5 days, but the beginning of real transformation. And it takes a little work. It takes more than 2.5 hours a day. So who's ready for another level of life? Who's ready to take this to a whole nother level? Make 2023 the best year of your life. It doesn't happen by accident. We got to do the work. And here's the cool part. What Tony's offering today, you have the opportunity to not only get the unbelievable Unleash the Power Within ticket to the event, the silver ticket, the upgraded ticket. You have the opportunity to go to all 4 days, to take this to a whole nother level. 10-hour days of total immersion. You'll never be the same. I promise you'll say that a lot while you're there, but you will never be the same after this. You'll get what you want and what you need. But this year, with the total transformation package, he's given you the preparation event, the workshop to prepare to get the most out of the event, get the most out of the year. And then when the event's over, you're going to get a workshop on making sure you implement and staying in the game. And oh my God, the financial package that he put together, I don't care if you have $10 in savings or you got 10 million everywhere in between. He put the experts to show you how to manage and understand finances in a shifting economy. You get the ultimate edge, the course that I bought 25 years ago. You get an unbelievable package at a price I've never seen. So yes, if it sounds like I'm trying to enroll you, I am. You get the opportunity to get all of that for $485, and he even has a multi-pay. I did the math. It's like less than $10 an hour while you're at the event. I think you're worth it. Your next level's worth it. Be disturbed within action. Gain the capabilities. Take that uncomfortable action. And together, there's no limits on what you could do, especially when I get to see behind the scenes of how much that man cares. And lastly, I want to do one thing to kind of nudge you over the edge. I got to share with you here in 18 minutes. I get to spend an hour with you at UP to Unleash the Power Within. But I want to do something to kind of nudge you to take action right now. We're going on a break here in just a minute. But I have two trainings that are my favorite trainings for this time in history. One is called Productivity Mastery. You should write that down. How do you find more time in a day? How do you make things go faster? How do you get rid of all the clutter? How do you focus on your next level? I've mastered productivity. I get to work with Tony in several different companies. I've started over 13 companies. I have 2 teenagers and 2 babies. How do I fit it all in with the system in Productivity Mastery? It's priceless. The second one is Ethical Influence. I love to sell with my heart. I love to sell through service. I am selling you today because I know I'd be doing you a disservice if you don't get this package. I know that when this challenge is over, the price goes up. I know the opportunity to be a part of the March UPW is gone. So I don't feel like I'm selling you. I feel like I'm serving you today. How do you do that so well in your personal life, with your family, your business, your career? I have a training called Ethical Influence. For those of you who go to upw.com today before midnight, I'll include both of those as my special bonus of saying, let's do this. Let's show up at UPW and play full out. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait to see so many of you at UPW. Do me a favor. When you get enrolled on this break, say, Dean, I'm in the chat. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Dean Graziosi. Everyone give this man a round of applause. Thank you so much, Dean. Oh, yes. So you heard the man. He also gave such an incredible, amazing bonus. And I want to recap for you. We are going to go on a quick 7-minute break, and then we have Tony Robbins coming back. So don't go anywhere. But this is your moment to get enrolled into Unleash the Power Within. This is how you take this from information just sitting in your mind this week and moving it into your body, making this real. So I'm going to put up a visual just for all of you. Some of you, it's your first time here to see what you're getting included in the 2023 Total Transformation Package. So I'll pop that up right now. But you're not just getting the legendary 4 full days with Tony. That's like 4 days, 50 hours. It's like $9 a day. You're also getting a pre-session, a post-session, Tony's Ultimate Edge training program. That's like $300 of value, but you get that as soon as tonight. So he wanted you to have something that you could start today and use for the next 47 days until the event begins. And then not only that, you're also getting this incredible bonus from Dean and Tony and the Financials Fundamental Package. You cannot beat this deal. It's about $2,000 of real value, and only for you at the challenge, it's $495 or a 3-pay of $183. So we're going to take a 7-minute break, and then we've got a really juicy ending here. So make sure to come back. We've got Tony Robbins. Get yourself enrolled, and then put I'm in the chat box. So Tony, myself, so we can all celebrate you in this incredible decision to unleash yourselves. We'll see you in 7 minutes.
Right.
All right, Unshakeable Challenge family, welcome back from break. Come on back, come on back. Hello, everybody. Let's shake the body out. Stand up if you're capable. Move your body, shake the building, crank your energy. UPW style, come on, come on. Welcome back, welcome back. If you're all in for Unleash the Power Within, put all in inside the chat box. Listen, we want to congratulate you. Tony's coming back here in just a moment, but we want to take this time to say from the bottom of our hearts, congratulations to all of you that decided to make your life a masterpiece. Not let this end here, but go all the way in for immersion at Unleash the Power Within. We got a couple questions that came in. I'm going to hammer those out really fast, and we'll get Tony up here. The first one, I just giggled at. It was this beautiful woman named Karen, and she's like, what are the time zones? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What a very simple question. But I would answer it like this. Time, what is time? It's an emotion. It's irrelevant. Okay, we've got a global audience. You're from all over the world, but the master time zone is Eastern time. But you really just want to block off the dates, March 16th through the 19th. And when people say what times, I'm like, if someone asked you to go on vacation the 16th through the 19th, would you say like, what time is vacation happening? It's all day, the 16th through the 19th, all day long. If that sounds good, give me a thumbs up, okay? And the second thing to know is this will sell out. I say this every time, we host a challenge. I don't even know if we'll host another one of these, but it will. We have the limits of technology, and there's always that person that slides a message like, I didn't know you were being serious. And I'm like, if we weren't, we would have called it upwlater.com. But it needs to be now. You got to do it now. And if it ends, it will be gone. If you try to come back in a week, this won't be here. So just my little loving encouragement to, if you're riding that like little fence or something, just it hurts your butt anyway, just get off the fence and go say yes and get yourself to Unleash the Power Within. I did see someone say that their wedding date is on the dates of UPW. And I would also offer you, 50% of marriages right now are ending in divorce. So you should just cancel the wedding, go to UPW, and get married with Tony. And then you're going to have the ultimate relationship like you learned yesterday, okay? Point of this is don't settle for inspiration. The root, if you know one thing from this, it's that these 5 days are educating you. It's giving you knowledge. But if your knowledge leads to knowledge and you've got, what they call shelf education, where is this going to enter your life? We want to infuse it into your DNA and into your body so this is a part of you and it's real. And you can do that for like $9.16 an hour at the legendary event that Tony's been doing for the last 4 decades, changing lives around the world. So if you're wondering why I'm so excited and passionate and I've been sharing my energy with you every day, it's because this work has changed my life. I met Tony in 2018. That was my first Unleash the Power Within. And I paid, by the way, $1,495. So I did a lot to get myself to that event, and I took my mom with me. And we went together, and it completely transformed my life. When I say that I have life before Tony, BT, and then after Tony, it's because something turned on. It was an opening. It was an awakening. It was a discovery process of myself that I'm still very much so on this day. But I owe everything to this man over there because my life started. My life began. And yeah, truly. And I'm grateful to each and every one of you that I just get to be with you and share with you and encourage you and help you and answer your questions because I know you're on your unique path, but I don't believe there's an accident that you're here. I believe it's on purpose. And if there's anything I can do to support you to have a yes, it is my duty to help you get there. I hope all 1.3 million of us, well, we can't, but you got to go at some point, okay? Every single one of you. And then one more question came in was someone so sweet saying, I want to bring my significant other, but they want no part of this. What do I do? Can anyone here relate to that, by the way? Do any of you have someone in your life these last 5 days that you've been thinking like, if only they were here experiencing this, or you're calling them like, babe, you better come over here. And they're like, don't tell me what to do. And there's a lot of dynamics at play, right? And I giggled at this question because it reminds me a lot of a journey in my own life. When I met Tony, it was such an explosion of life that I was so overwhelmed. I was telling everyone, like my friends and my family and like my Uber driver, I'd be like, he's like, you're going here. And I'm like, do you know Tony Robbins? And it was just getting to be too much. And the one person that I really pushed it a bit too far was my father, was my dad. And those of you with parents that you love so much, you know, my dad's, for context, in his 60s, were 100% Greek, and he is the man of the house. So do you think Greek dad, man of the house, wants his sweet daughter to come over and say, Dad, you should do that. You should go see this Tony Robbins guy. You know, your business and your thing with mom, and you're not really skiing anymore. You're not like hanging out with the friends. I'm like, you could go to Tony Robbins. Like it could be, and he was just not having it. But obviously, who wants their daughter to tell them what to do? And I was doing all the wrong things, like criticizing and controlling, and everything you learned yesterday. And my dad finally kind of snapped at me and unleashed. And I had asked so many times that there was one moment, it was coming from a good place, it was innocent, right? Like I knew he has the second chapter of his life and he could do something with the business, maybe sell it. He could be traveling, he could be skiing, he could be awakened to the possibilities of this beautiful, it's only halftime. And so innocently, I wanted that for him more than he wanted it for himself. And I pushed just a little too hard. And one day he just said, I'm never going to unleash the power within. Never ask me again. And there was a couple, F-bombs in there as well. And it feels humorous, but it tore me to shreds. It was humiliating and embarrassing, and I worked really hard because I love my dad, and I wanted him to have this experience. And I felt deeply hurt. I really believed there was no way he would ever go. And I'm so glad that I have a mentor over here who taught me that it takes 7 no's to get to a yes. And I maybe asked like 4 times. So I'm like, my God, I got to muster up some kind of courage in me to go for it one more time. And innovating is what you need. If you want to influence someone else, you've number one, got to go yourself. So anyone here that wants to influence a loved one, a partner, a romantic relationship, if you want to influence someone else, the only way to do it is to focus on you, to look into you, to go first, to be the lighthouse. And the second way to do it is to get scrappy and innovative. So I tried a new approach, the really sweet daughter approach. And I said, Dad, I'm going through a lot. Would you be willing to come with me to and unleash the power within, just to support me? I don't need you to like listen to the content or do any of this stuff, but could you just be there with me and support me through it? And he immediately grabbed his phone and booked a ticket and came with me to the next event. Don't cheer yet, okay? He had Southwest Airlines, so you could cancel at any moment. But he also complained the entire time. We got there, and people are just like, the energy is just electric. It's people that are in love with their life, and for a lot of us, we forgot what that feels like. My dad's like, I don't trust these people. What are they? They're all this energy, and what's going on? And I was just so happy that he was there. I was so deeply happy. Like those of you that had your significant others like lurking in the background, and finally on day 3 they showed up at this challenge, and now they're all Tony fans. Like that feeling that you probably felt. I was so happy. I'm like, if he could just get in the room. This man spent his entire lifetime figuring out how a human being can transform, and we get the gift, the privilege of listening to the seminar, reading the freaking book that somebody else spent their life figuring out how to do. And my dad's in the room. Like this is the moment. And the 3rd day of the event, the biggest day, the reason you go to transform yourself. I'm like, this is it. I'm looking for my dad. I have binoculars. It's like this big room, and he's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, he left. He's not here. He's gone. And I'm texting my mom, texting my brothers. You see dad? Is dad here? What's going on? I'm texting my dad. Where are you? And I'm like, my God. But like Sage says all the time, you can't judge someone for their path, but at least I opened the door. At least I gave the opportunity. And then there was this man, and I'm trying to like get out of the way so I can see, because I'm like, maybe he moved closer or something. And this man with like all this enthusiasm, which isn't surprising. It is a Tony event, but just like going nuts, right? Like just electrified energy. And I'm like, just move so I can see my dad. And that guy like turns around to look at somebody, and all of a sudden, that was my dad in the front of Unleash the Power Within, going crazy, giving his all, the number 1 participant of his own life. It's my dad. So the cool part of this isn't even that he went to this event, but it's everything he did after. He asked me to meet him in the hallway. And he said to me, "Thank you for not giving up on me. For far too long, I've been a warning, and it's time to be an example." And he left this event, and it's been, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years since, and he's skiing again. He's on trips with his friends. He has like 19 ski trips booked in one season. My mom and his relationship is at a completely different level. He's out in nature. He's running. He's doing fitness like he's never done before. And I could go on and tell you a million stories of people that I know of that have been impacted by this world and impacted by this work, but we would be here for 5 more days. I don't know, maybe 5 more months. There are people from all over this globe that has been impacted, and I feel in my heart, my perspective, if you don't give yourself this gift, then you are taking away life from yourself. I'm strongly encouraging you humbly and with respect to say yes to your next chapter and your next step, and that is upwnow.com. Now, this moment, this is your life, your opportunity. I love you guys. I love you guys. I will be here with you for the next 47 days, getting you ready for this event, and we'll see you at UPW. You're in good hands. We've been preparing for you for months, and this is going to be the ride of a lifetime. And we have $20,000 of prizes to give away, so I feel like we should do that right now. Are you up for it? All right. I'm going to share with you the first couple prizes, and then Tony's going to come back to share with you our grand prize because somebody's going to Fiji. So we've got a really big moment right now, and our first winner is going to be winning an iPad fully loaded with Tony's content and also the Ultimate Relationship Program, which is Tony and Sage's beautiful creation. And this person 4 days ago didn't know how to live, and they didn't let that stop. That didn't let her stop herself. Thank you for bearing with me for that. She participated in every single challenge video, even though she had no idea how to go live before this challenge, which so many of you did. You had courage, you pushed past any discomfort, and she lost her husband 41 years ago, and she really wept during this challenge. This challenge was hard for her. It was challenging for her, but she decided that an ultimate relationship doesn't necessarily mean intimate. She's going to give this level of total all-out love to the people in her life, the people that she loves, friends, family, everyone. And she registered herself for Unleash the Power Within. And this winner is, give me a big drum roll, Trudy Van Beekum. That's you. Hey, girl. You're going to UPW. We'll see you in 47 days. Thank you. Thank you. All right, stay on. Our team will connect with you, and we're going to ship that iPad right to your door. Okay, our next winner is also getting an iPad fully loaded with all of Tony's content. You guys, he spent his lifetime creating these programs, so they're go at your own pace. They're audio, and you can use them in your net time, no extra time. This person participated in every challenge video and left caring words on so many posts, which is very important to Tony. How are you showing up to give? And so many people were touched by her story. She was living 2 completely different lives. Was a drug addict and a shoplifter for 26 years. And she decided that she's going to be 100% clean. She's been clean for 2 years. She joined us last year at the challenge, is back again, and she wants to be a fully present partner and parent. And this woman is Nick Callow. Hi! Congratulations. All right. Whoa, yes. Now it is time for our grand prize. Let's just shake the body out really quick, get some energy back, because this is Fiji, so you got to be awake and ready. Shake the body out. Shake the body out. Come on. Let's see what you got. Whoa, yes. All right, we have an amazing couple that is winning the trip to Fiji. And Tony's going to announce who this is, but I want to tell you just a little bit about them. They started their journey where every single one of you are right now at the 2022, so a year ago, the Ultimate Breakthrough Challenge. So 1 year ago, that was their first Tony Robbins event ever. And since then, they've done 2 Unleash the Power Within events. And by the way, if you've gone, it's time to go again. 2, this couple here. They've done Life Mastery. They've committed to Date with Destiny, some more of Tony's programs. And now they're back here again at the challenge because they believe in constant and never-ending improvement. And they've been doing all of this as a couple. Their relationship, it's been the best it has ever been. And they're also inviting friends and family to join them on this beautiful journey. They've been married 25 years. And I'm going to bring up someone really special to share who this couple is. Welcome to the stage, Tony Robbins.
Thank you, sweetheart. Before I announce it, I just wanted to say thank you for this week. It's been just a privilege to be able to serve you all. I hope you felt loved and cared for, not only by me, but by the army of people, this community that we built around the world. Give it up for everybody around the world who's been participating. And you don't see them all here, but there's an army behind the scenes, about, I think, 26, 27 people here making this happen. Even if you can't see them, they've been working around the clock. Will you give a hand to our team at Robbins Research and made this all happen? KK, to Dean, to our video crews, creative department. Thank you all. Whoa. I see so many of you are going to join me, so I'll look forward to seeing you at the UPW. But I want to acknowledge Rico and Jeremy Mola. Let's bring them on stage. They are the winners of Fiji, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for them. Congratulations, guys. And Jeremy, I understand you've lost 60 pounds. Give her a hand. 60 pounds, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. You guys are beautiful. You're going to have one great 25th anniversary there, guys. We love you so much. Thank you, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Have a magnificent life. I hope you've been totally served by these 5 days. God bless you. Give it back to KK. We'll see you soon.
All right, let's all stand up if you're willing, and let's give a standing freaking ovation to this amazing man that has poured his heart into us for the last 5 days, Tony Robbins. Been on a journey. You have been amazing. We've developed the most beautiful little family here, just, you know, a casual million of us over the last couple days. And now it is an end. It's time to come to the end of this experience, but this doesn't have to be the finish line. It's really the starting line of your life if you let it. That means a decision is necessary. Where are you going to go in this next season of your life? You could do it alone, but like, why? You could do it with Tony Robbins. So come join us, upwnow.com, 47 days. We will reunite as a family. Go get the job done and get in and put I'm in the chat box, and we will see you at the next level of your life. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being a part of the Unshakeable Challenge. Get yourself enrolled, and we'll see you soon.
VIPs, I'll see you in 10 minutes. VIPs, I'll see you in 10 minutes. We'll see you in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
VIP's about 1 minute. Come on back with some energy. If you're taking a break, come on back. 1 minute and Tony Robbins is in.